Oh, God, it feels so good to be back in here. Very cathartic to be back in the studio with the boys. Welcome in. Let's get our heads right on a Tuesday, February 20th. Ben and Woods, 97.3, The Fan. I actually feel like I'm a little bit out of practice. I was a little nervous driving in this morning, but we will get through it. That I promise you. I think everybody's feeling much better. Well, not everybody. We'll get to that in a moment. My name is Woodsy. I had the rockin' pneumonia. And my partner, Ben, here, had the boogie-woogie flu, and it was not our best 72-ish hours last week. Now, Paulie, our beloved executive... What in the world was that? Our beloved executive producer, in the most obvious timeline ever.
It's just perfect.
Was feeling great and was like, yesterday, I actually feel like crap. I'm like, oh no, we're never going to get out of this cycle, but we are here.
I just don't know how I could have possibly gotten sick.
I don't know. It's so weird. It's so weird. These places are repulsive and just disgusting. The radio studio, you listen to radio shows and you hear this sound. That's somebody playing with their mic and moving their mic around. And then, four of us share a keyboard and, people scratch their ass and then they play with the mouse. And it's just... I started wiping down every day in here. I don't know really what to do beyond that, but I also have two little kids at home. They're disgusting at all times. So I'm doing the best I can here.
I think the question is, which of us did Paulie get whatever he's got from? Was it from you, your walking pneumonia, or was it me who tested positive for the influenza A virus? So I had the actual flu. Now, I had a fever.
I had no fever.
Really high fever, and it took a couple of days for it to break. And you didn't have a fever, though. Mm-hmm. You had, the really
but I don't have that
gnarly
deep
chest
that
stuff.
Yeah.
But you don't have the fever. So we're trying to determine what Paulie may be coming down with.
Well, we had a guy in the dugout on the Tier 1 team. He's sick, so he texted our group chat last night letting everybody know he started feeling like death after the game. So,
do you feel guilty when you feel like you got someone else sick a little bit?
Not really,
it's
because
hard. It's nothing you can necessarily do about it.
I don't do the blame game of you came in and you weren't, because if we were going to trace it back, Craig Elston took a day off because he was sick. Then Ello had a day off because he was sick. Then I started feeling like death. Then you started feeling like death. I mean, I'm not blaming a soul, man. This is the way
There's so many people sick right now.
Everyone's sick. Talk to our buddy Jack in L.A., my postman Jack. And he goes, dude, I woke up and he goes, I had the flu and I haven't been able to get out of bed trying to go deliver mail with the flu. He said it was terrible. He called in today. He said, I'm done. So everybody's just kind of feeling it right now. It's just that weird time of year, man. I would love to put myself in a bubble from January to March. Because it's just nasty. So we're here, we're back. I feel great. They put me on a full cycle of antibiotics. I got steroids. He goes, hey man, a lot of people. He goes, I don't know how you feel about pills. I go, give me them. Anything that you want to give me that's going to help me.
Not a tier 1, apparently.
Yeah, apparently not a tier 1. Lay it on me.
How does Woods feel about pills?
Is it going to make me feel better? It will.
Are we going to get disqualified from tier 1 baseball because you're on the roids?
Yeah, I had to take steroids, and then he gave me an inhaler, which I've never had before, which I kind of enjoyed, walking around the house. But man, it was awful.
So I got Tamiflu, which is what they give you to speed up the process and get over the flu faster. I think it worked because within the next couple of days, I definitely started feeling better quicker than maybe I normally do when I get the flu, which it's been a while since I had it. So, hey, modern medicine, thank you very much for the assist over the weekend.
Yeah, pretty great. Squirrely in the chat asked him how my dad's wing is. My dad, Gary, had surgery, had Tommy John on his elbow, and he's doing great, man. He's already off the pain pills, and he is just trying to recuperate. He goes, you just forget how many things you do with your right hand. I said, oh, I know, Dad. I know. I broke my elbow in college. I had to learn to do everything with my left hand. He's like,
Bob, it's just kid stuff.
You can't even put socks on. I'm like, I know. It's the literal word. You just tie your right hand behind your back for an hour and see how bad it is. He goes, it's tough, but he's doing really well. Thank you for asking. So, man, it has just been a nightmare. Honestly, I hate missing work. I hate missing this show. The only saving grace was that everything that was interesting about the Padres came down after we would have been off the air anyway, right? The Xander stuff was after 10. Thank God. Thank God it was after 10. If it was at 8:30, I would have been like, Adam, just patch me in. I guess I'll just lay in bed and do this because it was really the only interesting thing that happened. But man, it's good to be back. When you left here, I was very concerned about you when you left here, when you slept on the couch. Do you think it was the Alka-Seltzer that really got you?
No, I think it was the flu.
The flu that got you?
Got
Okay.
me,
All right,
actually.
good. I was nervous. Your mother was texting me, please don't let him drive. I go, he says he's fine.
Well, that's why I rested. That helped. I couldn't have gotten home an hour before, but thanks to the hour of sleeping on the couch, I was able to get home just fine, and then went to urgent care later that day, and that's when I was officially diagnosed.
Yeah, I did as well, and it was I feel better, feel a little bit more rested, and able to get back in here and yes, dive into some of that really interesting Padres news that broke while we were out. Talk about Eric Kutsenda, his first speaking appearance. There's so much to talk about in the world of baseball right now. Anthony Rendon obviously ruffled some feathers yesterday. I had an interesting conversation about it yesterday, and I think I could see a little bit of both sides, but I want to get into that certainly. A lot of old white owners are just opening their mouths and sticking their foot directly in them right before the first game of the season. Like baseball, hey, hope springs eternal. Not for us poor owners, it doesn't. And it's just driving me insane. The game of baseball right now with Scott Boris's clients sitting out there rotting, just hitting off the tee in their backyard, throwing bullpens, coaching travel ball in Blake Snell's case. Something is broken or breaking in the game of baseball. I want to talk about that today, too.
I'm starting to wonder, is it possible at least one or two of these Boris clients aren't on a team by opening day?
I think it's massively reasonable to accept that at this point.
I mean, it seems like both sides are digging in and getting more and more stubborn. Boris not going to lower the asking price. Teams not really even willing to engage at anywhere
Imagine
near
winning
the
the
levels.
Cy Young and not having a team on opening day.
Not having a job on opening day. Is there not a team that's going to be desperate enough that they're just going to cave and crack and pay that price that they're looking for? And maybe for one or two of the guys, but will all four of them get what they're asking for in the next 4 weeks before? I mean, the Padres and Dodgers play their first game 4 weeks from today. Today. February 20th, 1 month from today. Wow. March 20th, we're 1 month out. They will be going toe-to-toe in Korea, and you've got four of the premier free agents who not only haven't signed, but it's not like they all sound like, hey, they're on the verge, we're close with a bunch of teams. There's no smoke on some of these discussions either.
It is wild. It has been absolutely wild. So we're back in here. The chat is already firing this morning. Thank you guys for being here. I wanted to thank as well. I wanted to thank everybody that has that came out to support the Tier 1 baseball team. That was an idea that is incredible and been so much fun to put together. So we started a baseball team. A couple of our listeners said, dude, start a team, run it, and get a team of listeners. I said, that's actually a really fun idea. And don't tell my wife. It's a great way to get me back on the baseball field under the guise of, well, it's content, babe. It's work, right? Finger quotes. So I put it together, got the jerseys, did all the stuff, forgot how difficult it is to actually find, recruit, collect fees, get jerseys ordered, get sizes, get numbers. Then you get to the field, and it's game one, and you're like, okay, I got to do this. I got to do this. We got to collect these fees. We got to make sure the field's ready. And we went out. We had our first game against the SoCal Dirtbags, and they're good guys. I've played against those guys for many years. They play really hard, and we won. We ended up winning 16-9. I should definitely give a shout out to Baseball Nick. Hit a 2-run homer in the first inning.
The sound on that one was really nice.
Absolutely incredible. Jason Bendorf came in and threw 6 strong innings for us. And then Javi hit a grand slam, which was incredible.
A legit
grand slam. I was on base. I took 1 AB. Paulie took 1 AB.
Slam Diego?
Slam Diego's back. And yeah, buddy. It was incredible, man. It was so much fun.
And I saw what you did afterwards. You tweeted out that you're going to donate $100 for every Tier 1 win this season to the Seidler Legacy fund
Yep.
that the Padres started after the passing of Peter Seidler.
I had not thought about that at all. I had not even thought about a charitable aspect of this team. I'll be honest. It was completely self-serving. I just want to play baseball with my friends again and be out there and give me a purpose on a Sunday of something that I love to do. And I got home and I was putting in the stats and I was looking at the uniforms we got. And so we got white unis, say tier 1 across it, and we put the Peter Seidler heart. And I said, that's it. That's it. And it popped in my head, and I said, I'm going to do this. Now, what I didn't know is what you told me this morning, which makes me even happier.
So that $100 donation is now $500 because the Padres, the players, the Seidler family, there's 4 matches that go with that $100. So 4 more $100 donations.
It's incredible.
For a total of $500 toward that Seidler Legacy Fund as part of the new initiative that the Padres are doing.
It just made so much sense, and I wanted to play for something more this year, and I want our team to play for something more than just, hey, we won a game and got to play some grab ass and whatever, run around on a Sunday, and that does feel like you're playing for a little bit more. So, and the cool thing is, the other reason is when I tweeted it out, like Baseball Nick's dad, our buddy Baseball Nick, his father said, let me know when you win so I can also donate. So you get that thing going, you get some good vibes going, and raise some money. So made me very happy, man. I got a touch emotional driving out there to the game and then driving home from the game. I love the game of baseball. I know it's just adult league. I know we're fat. I know we're unathletic. I just love it. And I love being out there, and I love competing and being with my friends. And we have such a good team of dudes, unselfish guys. Like, it just was really special. And so I'm very happy to be doing this again. It just means the world to me. And thank you guys that came out and watched. Thank you guys that played. Thank you guys for supporting it and letting us talk about it. All of that. I was blown away, man. I got home and I was on cloud 9, feeling like this was great. I will say I just have one beef against my bench coach, Paul Reindl here. I put the lineup out, and I would have liked to seen it in calligraphy. It was not done in calligraphy. So I think if we could get that going, I think that's an important part of the process, right? Yeah. The calligraphy lineup every week. So I need you to learn how to do calligraphy and do little funny, paint little funny pictures and stuff on it. I'm going to need that hanging in the duck. The guys need it. They need it.
I'm just going to draw little faces on the baseball.
Faces on the baseball. Whatever. Do whatever you want to do. But no, Paulie was great, and the guys were awesome, and yeah, want to know. So felt really good.
All right, why don't we take our first time out here so we can get going? We have so much to get to that we did not get to discuss on Friday or the second half of Thursday's show. We'll set out the menu, get to some Padres topics early in the program today, get some of that audio as well that we missed from over the weekend. All coming up. It is really good to be back. Thank you for bearing with us over the last couple of days. Hopefully everybody had a good President's Day weekend. Ready to go on a Tuesday morning. Let's check traffic. I know there's some rain, especially up in the North County right now, so be careful out there. Kelly will tell us how it's going, and we'll be right back with more Bennett Woods coming up on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Going to jump quickly into what we missed over the holiday weekend when it comes to Padres news. And there was actually some Padres news, of course, over the weekend. I think highlighted by the Xander Bogaerts position change announcement, something that Mike Shildt didn't. I mean, it's not been the biggest secret in the Padres organization, Woods, that they've talked to at least about Xander Bogaerts moving off of shortstop, maybe even sooner rather than later. But Mike Shildt, when we've talked to him the couple of times, didn't tip his hand like this was coming right away. Like there was no lead up, sneak, breadcrumbs being dropped. But I guess they knew once they put him out there and everyone saw the first spring training practice and said, Isn't that Ha-Seong Kim at short and Xander Bogaerts at second base? They weren't going to be able to hide it any longer. So he had to come out and say something that first morning of spring training. But that to me was pretty groundbreaking news for your San Diego Padres.
I'd say it's pretty substantial.
Yeah.
And was a bit I was a bit taken aback when I saw the news. Now, do you want my thoughts on this now, or are we going to wait till 7 o'clock?
You can give me a couple thoughts on it now.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, I saw all sorts of mixed reviews, and I saw mostly positive, right? And I don't want to come in and be, Nancy negative and be like, well, I mean, if you construct your roster the right way, you don't have to make changes like this all the time. It's a bit of a cluster, if we're really being honest. It is a bit of a cluster. I'm very pleased that Xander is a true professional and said, you know what? All right, you paid me like a shortstop, and they did. They paid him like a shortstop, which is great. You'd rather get paid like a shortstop and have to move to second than get paid like a second baseman and have to move to shortstop any day of the week. So I loved that. I tip my hat to him. I think it's unselfish. I think he handled it really, really well. But you could also see it was a little bit perturbing. You could see it. Like if you watched his interview, he's like, yeah, I mean, I signed to be a shortstop. And so we can break all that stuff down. But again, you're now having to move things around because of the way that the roster was constructed. It is what it is. You can't change it at this point. It was a weird signing when it happened, and now you're paying him for his bat. He's going to be a very highly paid second baseman. Great, go out and hit 30 bombs and do it with the bat. And I think he's going to be fine settling in at second base, Benny. But if it was really about making the infield stronger, then why isn't Jake Cronenworth playing second base? Because he's an actual second baseman. So why wouldn't you just have Manny, Kim, Croney, and first baseman?
What do you do with Xander?
I
don't know.
I think that's fair. But at the same time, what I liked, and we'll get into some more of the details and the possible fallout. What does it mean for Ha-Seong Kim in the future? What does it mean for Jackson Merrill? There's a lot of different branches of this tree to discuss. But ultimately, if you're trying to put the best version of the Padres on the field in 2024, and I think the Padres owe that not just to the fans, but they owe it to
each other, the team.
The team. Yeah, they owe it to everybody who is pulling on that rope this season to put the best possible version of themselves on the field.
Yeah.
It has to include Ha-Seong Kim at shortstop.
It absolutely has to. Now, the other thing is, and Mike Shildt, we're going to play the audio later. You guys have all heard it, but we'll replay it again. Mike Shildt saying, look, there were reasons for that. There were reasons, and you guys are free to speculate. Yeah. Honestly, with a guy going into one more year left on his deal, which Ha-Seong Kim this is not, I'm not being mean or anything like that. He's got one more year on his deal. Don't you want his value to be the highest it can possibly be in case you are going to flip him or trade him? Now, if you're going to resign him, it makes it a little bit worse.
I don't agree with that. I don't think that putting him at shortstop changes his value.
It absolutely
changes his
value.
I think every team already knows he's a fantastic shortstop. They don't require more visual proof of it. Every time he's been out at shortstop, he's played Gold Glove caliber shortstop. I don't think this really makes a huge difference in terms of Ha-Seong Kim's value going forward.
It absolutely does. A shortstop is more valuable than a second baseman.
But he already is a shortstop.
But he was a second baseman last year.
But they could have acquired him as a shortstop at any moment and put any team that wanted him as a shortstop could have acquired 100%. Him at any moment and put him there.
So anyway, that was the lot. There are two reasons for it. One, hey man, Xander, you did not have the world's best year at short last year. We have an elite shortstop. He's going to take the position. Okay, no problem. I understand that. The other part is, if we're going to move him in the offseason, I'm talking about, Benny, I'm not talking about this year. In the offseason, Ha-Seong Kim needs to be, people need to know that Ha-Seong Kim is going to be playing short for us this year.
This feels like a baseball decision to me, though, which is why I like it. Last year, why was Xander Bogaerts playing short? Was it a baseball decision or was it a business decision? It was a business decision. They promised Xander he could play short for at least the first season. That was part of the
deal,
incentive to get him to sign.
Do you think it was pitched to him that, hey, at least for the first year?
Yeah, absolutely it was. That was part of the pitch to his agent. We will sign you and you will get to play shortstop for at least the first season. It was 100% promised to him that way. And if you renege on that,
why just 1 year?
That was what they said. They said, we will guarantee you at least the first year you can play shortstop. After that, we will reevaluate.
You know this or you're speculating?
No, it's been reported. That was reported as part of the deal. I mean, was it in writing? I don't know.
He said he signed as a shortstop.
But he signed as a shortstop.
He didn't say he signed as a shortstop for 1 year.
No, he was told the first year that he could play shortstop. After that, they would reevaluate it. And if you want to be an organization of your word, I mean, could they have then tried to needle him into moving him the whole time? Yes. Would that have made Xander Bogaerts feel very good about signing with the Padres? Would that have been a good look for A.J. Preller? No. So the Padres stuck by their word, and they had Xander out there. Was that the best version that the Padres could have been last year?
No.
No. That also would have had Ha-Seong Kim at shortstop last year if you were trying to put the best version of the team on the field. And, well, we see what happened last year when you don't put the best version of yourself necessarily out on the field. Could it have made a difference? I mean, maybe.
I mean, look,
you finished 2 games out of a playoff spot. I'm not saying that Ha-Seong Kim at short would have given you 2 more wins over the course of the season or not, but I know he's a more valuable defensive player at a more valuable defensive position. Make baseball decisions whenever you can. This, to me, is a baseball decision.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you there. I do think the best version of the San Diego Padres, as it currently stands right now, is with Jake Cronenworth at second base, not Xander Bogaerts. Jake Cronenworth knows how to play second base.
Best version of the Padres has Xander Bogaerts in the lineup, not over Jake Cronenworth at least.
Both in the lineup, but Jake DH. You don't want to pay a guy $280 million to be a 31-year-old DH either. You know what I'm saying, though? Like you're now you have, again, essentially 2 guys on the right side out of position when all you really have to do is flip-flop them. One is a Gold Glove second baseman. He should be playing. No, he didn't win the Gold Glove, did he? No. All-Star second baseman. He should be playing second base.
But you're assuming Xander can just slide over and play first.
I'm not assuming anything. He's already said he didn't want to do that.
Right.
I know he doesn't want to play first. He's not a first baseman. He's also not a second baseman.
Let's talk about this more. We've got other stuff to get to as well. Aztecs have a huge game tonight at Utah State. This is really one of their last chances to get a major road win in the conference. The one thing that they are lacking this year, they are up to number 19 in the country again, ranked again. That's always been bad news for the Aztecs this season, but we'll talk about San Diego State basketball. We're a little behind, of course, in our Tier 1 tour because of missing the end of last week, so we'll play a little catch-up. We're still in the AL East. We're going to try to get to 2 teams today in the second half of our show, Baltimore Orioles and the Toronto Blue Jays. We can check them out. And we got some guests coming up at 7:35 this morning. A.J. Cassavell is going to join us from Padres spring training to get us caught up on some of the news and notes from over the weekend. Padres.com's A.J. Cassavell. And, of course, Sammy Spring Training will check in a little bit later in the show today at 9 o'clock.
Sammy will catch us right after Mike Schultz.
Perfect. So if there's anything new that happens this morning, Sammy will make us aware of it immediately at 9 o'clock this morning. Get back to our regular features as well. Take on Woods. We've got Don't Do This coming up in our 7 o'clock hour. So busy show today. We've got ticket giveaway. The San Diego Mojo, the new volleyball team, has their first game on Friday. We'll give away some tickets to Viejas Arena coming up in the second half of Ben and Woods. So a very busy Tuesday. We're going to get started, though, when we come back and hear a little bit from new Padres control person. The man of mystery finally speaks over the weekend. Eric Kutsenda. What did he have to say about the direction of the organization, the finances, the budget, the control of the team, the future of the San Diego Padres? Get to all of that coming up next with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
There is something to make this group aware of. Xander is coupling with us and partnering with the group and the team. He's going to make he's going to go to second base, and Kimmy's going to play shortstop. So when you use the word, I don't use this word a lot. My admiration for Xander Bogaerts went through the roof in this transition. He's going to go. He's going to get his work in. It's I can't say it's like etched in stone 100%. We're going to let him do it. We're going to see what it looks like. We're going to evaluate it. But it's not something that, he's all in right now to go over, give it its full due. But my admiration for him to be a good teammate, to recognize that, we have an elite defender in Kimmy, who won a Gold Glove, to go back and play shortstop is I just admire and think it's very impressive, and it speaks a lot for his team first. I care about our group, big picture. It says a lot about him, so it's impressive.
I couldn't agree more. And don't get it twisted. I am not down on Xander Bogaerts, not even in the slightest. I love Xander Bogaerts, and again, I can love Xander Bogaerts and think that it was a superfluous signing last year, which I think no one can disagree with that. You didn't really need a shortstop last year. You wanted to make a splash in the market. You did it. Now he's here. He's a good hitter. He's got the potential to be an even better hitter than he was last year. I love Xander. I think he's a leader. I think he's a great teammate. I think he's a charismatic dude. I love that he's a San Diego Padre. I absolutely do. But the but in that is, if it's a baseball decision, Ben, and you really want your best, your best guys out there, now you've got two guys on the right side. Left side set, one of the best in baseball. Couldn't be more excited about Kim Chado over there on the left side. Is there any concern now about, okay, will the offense suffer? We saw Jake, when Jake moved off second, moved to first, his offense suffered. Will Xander see some of the same things? I don't know. But I know he's never played second base before. So, again, this is not a Xander Bogaerts problem. This is a San Diego Padres roster construction issue. And now you've got Jackson Merrill, who now you're converting into an outfielder. You've got other shortstops coming up through the pipelines. You have a lot of shortstops, is what I'm saying. And these are the cards that you have dealt yourself. And now you have to figure out where they're best played. And that's all I'm saying.
I think some good managing there from Mike Schilt. You could tell he wants Xander to feel good about this decision. Thus, the effusive praise, the admiration.
100%. The oldest trick in the book, man. Yeah.
He's doing not just the X's and O's managing, but he's doing a little personality managing right there. He wants Xander to feel good about this decision, because I think there's some genuine optimism from the Padres that Xander can be not just an adequate second baseman, but be a really good second baseman for several years to come. And, with Jake, don't even know what his future is. If he doesn't bounce back this year, I don't know that there's a spot for Jake Cronenworth on the Padres going forward. 100%. So I can see why you don't necessarily want to commit, all right, we're making Jake our second baseman for the next 7 years. Don't know. If he doesn't hit, he's not anything for the next 7 years.
But wait, you don't, just because you signed Jake Cronenworth to that deal, you don't have to commit to him at a certain position, because they just signed Xander Bogaerts for 11 years and moved him off after 1 year. So you don't have to commit to anything. It's not etched in stone.
No, but I think you have to kind of commit to Xander. Something at this point. Whether it's going to be shortstop, no. Second base, yes. First base, clearly he did not want to move to first base.
That was very, very evident and
maybe
obvious.
There's a bit of a compromise in this, but I think the Padres feel good about his chances at second base, giving him that opportunity.
Don't let me rain on your parade. I'm excited about it too, and I think it's a good move, and I'm excited to see how it works. I don't want to be the, come in here and pee in everybody's Cheerios this morning.
The other part that we haven't really gotten into yet, though, is, does this move tell you, as a fan of the team, that the Padres aren't going to trade Ha-Seong Kim
So
now?
There was more.
And if they're not going to extend him, are we just going to do this dance again
next
year?
There was a lot of, what does this really mean out in Padres fandom about the move of Xander Bogaerts to second base? And I saw,
like, if they're shopping him, that was a weird move to announce.
This means
morning.
They're going to trade Ha-Seong Kim because they want to build up his value, and he's going to be sent at the deadline. This means they're going to extend Ha-Seong Kim, and they want him to be the shortstop for the future. There may be some truth to that. I mean, anyone who doesn't think they want to extend Ha-Seong Kim is not paying attention. They would love to keep Ha-Seong Kim around.
and
the question is whether they can afford
Correct.
to keep Ha-Seong Kim around. But there's no one in the Padres organization from the very top, A.J. Preller, teammates, everybody loves Ha-Seong Kim.
No question. And Ha-Seong Kim loves it here. And he even said, I was reading some quotes from him over the weekend that said, yeah, like I'm going to talk to my agent about that, and we're going to have those conversations. He said, I do wonder. He goes, the love that I get here in San Diego is through the roof. I do wonder if I would get that same kind of love somewhere else. And, I mean, I don't know how you couldn't love the guy. I love him here. That left side, again, generational. I love it. It's going to be the slickest thing you've ever seen. Those two dudes are tight and thick as thieves. It's going to be incredible.
But I saw this is a precursor to Jackson Merrill moving to shortstop next year after Ha-Seong Kim is gone.
Is Fernando Tatis Jr. moving back to short off the table? What's what happens when you have 9 shortstops. Now, don't forget that there's a certain radio show in town, 3 Portly Fellows, that told you last year, this is a great idea. Get as many athletic players as you can in the infield, and no one will ever get one through. If you can play short, you can play anywhere. We said it. We beat it like a dead horse. And now look at the problems that we're having. This can't go on every year is what I'm saying. So next year, a year from today at spring training, is it, Skip, how you doing? Woodsy 97.3, The Fan. So is it going to be Jackson Merrill? I know he looks good. Is it going to be Xander Bogaerts? Is he going to go back to short? Is Jake Cronenworth going to play some short this year? Is Leo DeBreeze? I know he's knocking on the door here in a couple of years.
You also acquired Dansby Swanson over the offseason. So where does he go now?
You view this as a problem just because we don't have an answer for it right now. Was the fact that the Padres had shortstops the reason they didn't make the playoffs last year? I don't think so. I don't think Ha-Seong Kim certainly wasn't the problem last year. Xander Bogaerts didn't have the year we were hoping, but I think
he had one of the best years on the team.
I think that was more, his wrist issues. Had he been healthy, he would have had a really good season.
I'm not even really talking about last year. I'm talking about next year and this year. And I'm talking about if you don't extend Ha-Seong Kim, what happens? Who's your shortstop? Is Xander going back now? Is that a healthy way to run an organization?
You deal with that when that arises.
Okay.
But right now, based on who you have, the best person you can put at shortstop is Ha-Seong Kim. And I see your argument. You said based on who you have right now, the best infield alignment probably would be Jake Cronenworth.
A guy that has played second base.
At second, and then move Xander Bogaerts over to first. But
I wish Xander could play left, and you could just go get a first baseman and call it a day. And then you have a $280 million left fielder that's a good player and a hitter and everything else.
But that's the thing is this whole story, when it broke on Friday morning, I wasn't aware that this was even a concern.
You're right.
I was more concerned about, we need pitchers. We don't have a DH.
Again,
we have Jerickson Profar and Sugar in the outfield.
You can love Xander Bogaerts and still not really understand why there was a need to bring him in and still be happy that he's here. And so I don't feel bad for him. Like I said, he got paid like a shortstop. He's going to play second. Mookie's done it. Bryce Harper's moved off his position. It happens, and it's really cool for the good of the team. I love it, man. I love selfless baseball players. There aren't many out there, and I think it's a good move, and I'm excited to see how it works. But is this the cycle now for the San Diego Padres? Is uncertainty, lack of cohesion, whatever you want to call it. I'm just throwing it out there in that it's a weird thing. To look at and have to do this.
But let's
every
wait
year.
until it becomes a problem before we call it a problem. I can't tell you that it's been a problem yet. You can point and say, yeah, Jake's numbers offensively are better at second base than they are at first base. There's no real reason why that would happen.
Well, I'm on Team Cronenworth always. I love Croney. So I'm if he's my first baseman this year, let's ride.
It could be the exact opposite. I mean, Jake could have great numbers offensively at first base this year, and then on the days where they need him to play second base,
he could be
hits
terrible.
115.
Yeah, it's baseball.
It's baseball. You can't make a decision just based on the fact, he hit so much better at second base last year. It's nothing to do with hitting. Is where you're standing in the field, has nothing to do with what you produce at the plate. So make your decisions based on logical baseball reasoning. And that's why I like this. Right now, it makes logical baseball sense for me to have Ha-Seong Kim at shortstop, You know Xander Bogaerts is going to be around for many years. You stick him at second base where you think he can be very successful. Give him that opportunity. If it doesn't work out, yeah, you may have to adjust at some point. But for right now, I like the decision. And then if Jake doesn't work out at first base, which is still a possibility, unfortunately, it's a lot easier to find a first baseman than a second baseman, even though.
So you say.
And it's really easy
Our
to find
first
a
baseman actually is
corner
a second
outfielder
baseman.
and a DH as well.
Our first baseman's the second baseman, so I don't know how easy it is at this point.
All right, let's check traffic. I want to get to some of the Eric Kutsenda comments from Saturday morning at Padres spring training. The first we have heard from the new Padres interim control person speaking with the media. Get to that after Kelly's traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by California Coast Credit Union. Well, so far not too bad on our roads, guys, but that could change as the morning progresses because rain is hitting parts of the North County and there's more coming this way. So, yeah, just continue to take it extra carefully out there. Right now, there is an accident on eastbound 905 at the northbound 5 connector. This vehicle went up in the bushes over to the right shoulder. With MasterCard Local, Cal Coast Credit Union members can earn 5% cash back on purchases made with Cal Coast MasterCard credit and debit cards every time they shop at participating businesses. Learn more at calcoastcu.org/shop-local. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, so when we got the news that Eric Kutsenda was going to be speaking on Saturday morning at Peoria Sports Complex, shouldn't have been that surprising because that's the same day that Peter Seidler always used to stand and kind of do his start of the season scrum with the media every single year. It's part of the Padres tradition, the way they do things. And while Eric Kutsenda had been notoriously behind the curtains and reluctant to speak up to this point, it follows with tradition that he would make some comments. So, did the thing, got up in front of the media, and of course, the first few questions were all about the payroll, as you'd expect. When, hey, there's been major changes in the offseason. You go from a payroll that's well over the luxury tax to now about $20 million under it. You're gonna get those questions if you're the control person of the team. People wanted to know. All right, so why is payroll like $100 million lower than it was at this time last year?
Yeah, I think we went into the year with the view of assembling talent and balance for the team. Payroll is an output of that, and I think as AJ's described, we're not necessarily done. It's been a kind of an odd free agent market evolution this year, and so we're marching toward building the talent pool that we think can win this year.
How much flexibility is there for what the rest of the offseason might bring?
There's flexibility. I mean, we don't get into specific payroll numbers, as you guys know, but we're working every day on different enhancements to the roster as well as some trades and free agent stuff. So the roster is still in progress, and I think AJ's described that as well.
Are you looking to reset the luxury tax this year?
Again, that'll be an output of the mission of kind of bringing a talented group together. So we'll see.
I didn't really know what to expect, and I was championing him coming on at some point since the passing of Peter. I know this is a situation in Major League Baseball that doesn't happen all the time, right? It's not something that happens when a beloved owner passes away, and there's a bit of there's got to be a transition between things, and we own this part and this part, but you're going to be the point man. And you can tell that he's a thoughtful guy. You can tell that he spent a lot of time with Peter Seidler. You can tell, but what you can't tell from that interview is how passionate is Eric Kutsenda about the San Diego Padres winning a World Series. That's the one thing. Now, with Peter, you knew it. Even with Ron, you knew it. They wanted that. Now, you don't know that with Eric, and that's not fair to foist that upon him and say, well, you got to immediately be beating your chest for San Diego and its people, right? That's an unfair thing to put on him. Don't you agree?
It is. I think listening to Eric Kutsenda for the first time shouldn't be that surprising. Well, it's tax season. It sounds like you're going and talking to your accountant.
Correct.
About, your taxes and your bottom line. And by the way, kind of a compliment. You know what Eric Kutsenda is? He's a certified public accountant. That's his training. That's what That's what he does. That's how he started. That's part of his role with the business, with Seidler Equity Partners, and now with the San Diego Padres. So the fact that he sounds like a CPA means he's doing what his job is. Now, as a Padres fan, you would love to have an owner
we had
like Peter Seidler, who's a little more dynamic and positive and aspirational and thinking big about dreams and World Series. It's not really who Eric Kutsenda was designed to be.
Nor he doesn't have to be that person. I'd rather him be him than come out and BS us, right? I'd rather be yourself than come out and say, we're going to do this. Like, do what you. I think fans are not dumb, man. Fans want to. If you tell me this is the way it is, I accept it and move on.
Reading between the lines, no one wants to say, yes, we're resetting the luxury tax. Yes, we're slashing payroll from last season. You don't have to say it. It's completely obvious what you're doing. And yes, maybe you don't want to tip your hand completely. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there's still another, move or two, as he alluded to before the start of the season. There's some flexibility. There are still some names out there. But I would be shocked if it was a giant move. If all of a sudden Cody Bellinger shows up at the Peoria Sports Complex on a 9-year deal tomorrow. That clearly doesn't seem to be within the current plans of the San Diego Padres.
Correct.
They want to reset. They don't want to be paying money for nothing. I mean, who among us likes to pay big money for nothing at all?
Just me. Pretty much the only one in here that will spend money.
And when you're over the luxury tax, as the Padres were last year, they spent $37 million on nothing at all, on a luxury tax penalty for a team that didn't even make the playoffs.
Yep.
That's going to sit in anyone's craw.
No doubt.
I mean, it's bad enough to pay for the things you have to pay for, but to then pay on top of that for nothing at all is not going to sit well with any business.
No question.
So I do understand the desire to reset that penalty level and get below the luxury tax.
I did think it was important that he spoke, and now that he's spoken, I'm good. I kind of know I'm not going to be beating the table saying we need to hear from Kutsenda. Like, he spoke. That's all I asked of that organization was put him out there, let people see him, let people get a sense for who he is and what he's about. And I think we know that now. And I think again, there's rumors of transitions being done down the road back to the Seidler family with somebody there in charge. We'll see how all that plays out. It has been, and I do think fans need to give, a small pause because it has been a difficult transition for him. I'll give him a pass for that.
All right, so a few comments from the new control person for the San Diego Padres, part of a big weekend of activity in Peoria. We'll talk more about it coming up. Also have Take on Woods ahead, a chance to qualify for a trip to Las Vegas. We'll play our first game of the week on a Tuesday morning next here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Action for the San Diego State Aztecs over the weekend. Got the big win over New Mexico on Friday night, avenging their worst loss of the season. Really, Viejas Arena was absolutely rocking. It always is, but that game was a little extra loud. Paulie, as an alum, you had to feel proud of the show and how they brought it against Jalen House, who, hits a 3 to open the game and immediately starts jawing with the show. And you just wanted to make him pay for that. That's like, as a fan,
I can't stand that guy.
No one can. Every fan base in the Mountain West can't stand Jalen House, which makes me respect him a little bit.
Yeah.
The guy is
you love to hate.
He is unafraid, and he does not mind being the villain. He feeds off of it, but boy, you want to beat that guy, and they got the best of the Aztecs in Albuquerque earlier this season, so that was one you really wanted to have. They got it on Friday night. Really good performance. Jaden Ledee had a huge week, 50 points against Colorado State and New Mexico. He was named the Mountain West Player of the Week yesterday for his efforts, and the Aztecs returned to the top 25 at number 19. Now, I've said many times, while I care about that, it doesn't really matter whether you're ranked. The Aztecs were also, though, ranked more importantly in something that does matter over the weekend. On Saturday, the NCAA Selection Committee, the actual people who, put the seedings and the brackets out in less than a month, revealed their preview top 16 seeds, the top 4 seeds in each quadrant as of Saturday. So if the tournament started this week, the Aztecs would have been a number 4 seed. They had the Aztecs as a number 4 seed, the 14th overall seed in the country, which means they have been a little underrated by everyone all year long, at least when it comes to the committee. They are higher on San Diego State, and if they continue to play like they have, you can expect the Aztecs to get a top 4 seed in the NCAA tournament going forward. Now, things can change. Obviously, you lose some games, they can drop you down a little bit. But San Diego State's in a really good position at this moment. And if they win tonight at Utah State, it's their last big road challenge against the team they are currently tied with for first place. They can really solidify their position. They're already a lock, like ESPN's Bubble Watch has them as a lock.
They're locked
in
for
the
the
NCAA.
tourney.
They're going
Yep,
to
they're
the
going to the
NCAA tournament. Now it's about maximizing your seed, putting yourself in the best position possible to have another potential March run. And they're doing it right now. They're playing some good basketball. The only thing they haven't been able to do, as we've said, is win one of those big road games in the Mountain West. They've come close. This is really their last big chance to do so at Utah State. They get this one, though, tonight. They're in the catbird seat for the rest of the season, facing some of the lower opposition the rest of the way. They can really control their destiny and put another banner into the rafters at Viejas Arena for a regular season championship. So big one tonight. What's the spread? I know that Ken Palm has the Aztecs by 1.
I
won the last 2, though.
Aztecs plus 2.5.
So the Aztecs underdogs again, just like in the Nevada game, 2.5 point underdogs on the road. You guys both bet Aztecs that day.
Yeah, I won both. I won the last 2 games.
I thought you lost that one because of the late foul, and they put Nevada at the line. And
I won their last 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, they won at home the last 2 this last week. Yeah.
I won both.
Last road game though, you lost.
Last
that
road
one.
game, I lost that one.
So we'll see how they do. We need a contestant for Take on Woods. If you want to call and play our musical trivia challenge to qualify for a getaway to Las Vegas, call now 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We're going to play our game in just a couple of minutes. The phone lines are open right now, so this is your chance to get in and play against Woods and qualify for Las Vegas coming up. Anything else over the weekend? Padres did add some international bonus money in a couple of trades they've made over the last week, $750,000 that they can go ahead and spend in addition to the Leo De Vries signing. They'll have a little extra money to, I think they're targeting a pitcher from Mexico. That hasn't been officially announced, but a little more money in the coffers that they can use to sign international prospects, because they lost, of course, $1 million from that bonus pool by signing Xander Bogaerts last year. One of the penalties, not just the money that they spent on Bogaerts, but they had to forfeit $1 million of their bonus pool because he got a qualifying offer from the Boston Red Sox. So that was money they lost, and they've now gotten most of that back. Of course, they had to trade a couple of prospects away. Guy who had like a 1,100 OPS in the Dominican league, in the rookie Dominican League for the Padres. Very, very young, though, obviously a long, long way from the major leagues. And A.J. Preller's looking to restock with more international signings here this offseason.
Yeah, the Padres added a couple of guys, too, over the weekend. Zach Rex is an outfielder, Ben, and a lefty reliever, Austin Davis. Davis is 31 years old, pitched in parts of 5 Major League Baseball seasons. Depth at AAA, probably a couple of moves for the Padres. But you never know. I got to tell you, man, the coverage that our Sammy Levitt has been putting out every day has been through the roof. I mean, it has been staggeringly great. The close-ups, the sounds, the pop of Jackson Merrill's bat. Apparently, Ethan Salas put on a display for the ages the other day on the backfields, hitting tanks, and Jesse Agler was there, said it was unreal. But Sammy has been covering all of this. He has just crushed it.
I will say, though, the best video yesterday came from our guest at 7:35, AJ Cassavell, who was filming some live BP, some situational batting practice. Robert Suarez going up against Fernando Tatis Jr. And they said the count was full, and you can see Tatis absolutely mauls one.
Unloads.
I mean, you can hear even some of the players go, whoa.
Incredible.
I never know who to cheer for.
I don't either.
In those situations. When it's you against a teammate in a backfield situation, it's like, yes, Tatis.
God, we love watching
yes,
those
like,
songs.
wait, that's our closer who just gave up a home run in a big
count.
situation.
Yeah, exactly. It's not really a big situation, but I know what you're saying. He threw the heater, and he was ready for the heater.
It is Tatis.
It's Tatis.
I think anything that good that happens for Fernando Tatis Jr. is reason to cheer, and not too much cause for concern for a pitcher if he gives up a bomb to Fernando Tatis Jr.
Couple other, minor deals going on in baseball right now. The Cubs signed David Peralta to a minor league contract, which is, again, he spent last year with the Dodgers. You look at that and go, all right, well,
very injury prone,
but you do feel
but
like
a guy you could put in as a designated hitter.
That's true.
Something that the Padres do need, and obviously the cost was next to nothing for a minor league deal.
Yeah, he's a little behind. He had a surgery on his flexor tendon in his throwing arm. But again, you need a DH. Who's your DH if the season starts today?
Matt Batten.
Matthew Batten.
Eggy Rosario. Not someone that strikes fear into opposing lineups.
No,
at this point.
It's wild because you're looking and you're going, well, there's still some dudes out there that could help this team. But you see somebody on a minor league deal, and you're like, okay, well, that's really nothing. Why? I'm curious as to why we're not in on more of those.
And one pitcher who had been linked to the Padres this offseason, Hyunjin Ryu, is reportedly signing with a Korean team, going back to Asia as opposed to signing with a Major League Baseball team. So obviously, if he was someone in discussion with the Padres, they did not come to terms on a price, and he decided he's better off going back to the KBO rather than sticking around in Major League Baseball this season.
It's been a wild one, man, this offseason. It has been a really, really wild one. And the rumors are that Blake Snell has an offer on the table. I don't know if it's been discounted yet, but offer on the table from the Yankees for not a huge long-term deal, but they said offer out to Blake Snell. Club currently has an offer out to the lefty. Giants and Angels are still possibilities. Andy Martino did throw some cold water on the proceedings, said there's not much momentum getting a deal done. And there's your reigning Cy Young winner without a team. And he's not out throwing bullpens right now in backfields. It's very strange.
All right, we'll get more on the Padres from AJ Cassavell, Padres.com, coming up at the bottom of the hour. Right now, it only takes 15 minutes, and you don't have to get out of your car. For directions and discounts, go to SoCalOilChange.com. That's SoCalOilChange.com. And let's say hello to Billy this morning. Hey, Billy.
Morning.
Morning. All right, you're our contestant today. 5 questions of musical trivia. If you beat or tie Woods, we will put you into our grand prize drawing for the 2-night stay at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino and 2 tickets to Air Supply. They will be performing May 31st, June 1st at the International Theater. Tickets are available right now at Ticketmaster.com. All right, here are the categories you get to choose from today, Billy. Still have add a zero, which is start with like 1, and then you add a 0 to each answer until you get to the end of the category. Gonna be good. That's gonna is the key word for all those answers. And call me Jim. Those are musical artists named James. So add a 0, gonna be good, or call me Jim. What would you like to play?
Let's do add a 0.
Add a 0. It's been sitting there for a while. I'm looking forward to this. I think today's game will be fun. All right, so after you can get to hopefully our 2-second song title, you're going to add a 0 every single time to help you come up with the next answer in the sequence. You'll have 60 seconds to answer as many of the 5 as possible. If not, say pass. We'll come back to it. Try to keep in mind which 0 you're on. It'll help you with the answer later on. But 60 seconds, the category add a 0. Billy, are you ready to play?
Ready.
All right. You need to give me the title and the artist of the music that Paulie plays to score this first one. 60 seconds on the clock. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Billy. Let's take on Woods.
That's One of These Nights by the Eagles?
Correct. Name the British 70s rock band known for songs including I'm Not in Love and The Things We Do for Love.
10cc.
Correct. Which 2003 single became a #1 adult contemporary hit for 5 for Fighting?
100 Years.
Correct. Which piano-driven 2002 debut single by pop singer Vanessa Carlton is her only top hit?
1,000 Years.
1,000 Miles. Before embarking on a solo career, Natalie Merchant was the lead singer for which 90s alt-rock band?
10,000 Maniacs.
Correct. 4 out of 5. Very
Good.
close. Very well done. I think that could be a winner today,
I think
Billy.
so.
I think that could be a winner. Very tricky
he's not gonna catch the
category.
category.
He's not going to be able to figure it out. All right, 4 is the score to beat. Let's bring Woods back in the category add a 0. All right, Billy's score is locked in.
Billy.
This category's been sitting here for a while.
Billy,
We'll see
don't
how
be
you
a
do
hero.
on it. All right, Woods is in the dark to start. 60 seconds on the clock. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Woods. Let's take on Billy.
One of These Nights by the Eagles.
Correct. Name the British 70s rock band known for songs including I'm Not in Love and The Things We Do for Love.
Not in love. Pass.
Which 2003 single became a #1 adult contemporary hit for 5 for Fighting?
Pass.
Which piano-driven 2002 debut single by pop singer Vanessa Carlton is her only top hit?
Pass.
Before embarking on a solo career, Natalie Merchant was the lead singer for which 90s...
10,000 Maniacs.
Correct. Name the British 70s rock band known for songs including I'm Not in Love and The Things We Do for Love.
Oh, they all run together. I don't know the category. It's killing me. It's absolutely murdering me.
Makes it tough.
Bread.
Which 2003 single became a #1 adult contemporary hit for 5 for Fighting?
I know this one. I don't know.
Which piano-driven you're done? 2, which means Billy, you have won it today by a 4-2 score. So this was a very tricky category. So I'll give you the answers, and then you'll know the category. One of These Nights.
Okay.
10cc.
10cc.
100 Years. 1,000 Miles. 10,000 Maniacs. The category was called Add a 0. 1, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000.
I don't know that I would have gotten.
That's such a tough one.
That's so tough.
Such a
Billy
tough
knocked
one.
that out of the
But
park.
Billy did great. In fact, he almost got 5 for 5. He said 1,000 years instead of 1,000 miles.
Damn it.
Otherwise, he would have had a perfect score today. Billy, stay on the line. Paulie will get your information, put you into the drawing for the trip to Las Vegas. An outstanding performance.
There's no way I could ever discern
There's
what
no
that
way.
category
There's
is.
no way.
No,
It was
no chance.
Such a tricky category.
When they're that hard, Billy, give me the category. My God, that was brutal.
It was definitely one of my more clever, difficult,
Yes.
hidden categories that we've done.
Even with the category, he might have beaten you.
He still might have gotten
it
me.
was
I don't
good.
know that I would have gotten the Vanessa Carlton one.
He played that one well.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you've heard it.
I've
but
heard it.
The title.
The
What's
title.
the title?
Yeah.
Is it going to come right to your mind right now? I doubt it.
Ooh, good
That was
job,
definitely
Billy.
a tough one.
All right. Well, Billy can win a chance to go see Air Supply.
All right. Don't Do This is coming up next.
Bro, what is happening with the owners of baseball going after their fans and crying poor? It's very, very strange.
Not just one owner
No,
right now.
it's like-
That's for sure.
This could be a whole segment about owners.
It could be. We will get to that. And a former Padre with an incredible accomplishment over the weekend. I'll have that and do this next after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. Spring training is underway, and for the latest Padres news, try listening to chapters from the show. Every day, each topic we cover is broken out so you can find what matters most to you. To get started, just download the Odyssey app. For instance, today's Don't Do This chapter will center around Major League Baseball owners and how they are sticking their feet in their mouth today. I will get us started. Apparently, we figured out the problem with Scott Boras and free agency and why his clients haven't signed. I guess Scott Boras doesn't really understand how free agency works, would he? And the owner of the Cubs, Tom Ricketts, is explaining what the problem this offseason is. It's very simple, actually. Ricketts says that the Cubs are absolutely ready to go. Make free agent offers to maybe Cody Bellinger, maybe Blake Snell, other Scott Boras clients. He just hasn't called yet. They're just waiting on him. According to Ricketts, he said, I'm like everybody else. We're just waiting for whenever he and his agent are going to engage. It could be any time now, or it could be in a few weeks. We'll see where it goes. Of course, Scott Boras responded and said, free agency is about recruiting players. It's the normal owner's signature move to be involved in the efforts of recruiting players and reaching out to me so I can convey to the player that the ownership of the team covets them. That's the essence of free agency, and is a custom and practice for ownership to express commitment and involvement. I'm not supposed to call every team and go, hey, are you interested in my client? You're supposed to call me and say, hey, we're really interested in your client. Let's have a negotiation maybe on potential contracts and salaries. And the Cubs are going, oh, no. We're waiting for Boras to make his move now. It's that's not how it works.
Yeah, it's just like a staring contest, and nobody wants to give. And again, there's something to be said, though, that the majority of guys left are represented by Scott Boras. I don't think you can look past that, but I also don't think you could look past. I'm not going to go so far as to call it collusion or anything like that, but I think there's the whispers of collusion. We're tired of the way this guy does business, right? Do you think that's fair?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And he did say this, which is interesting. He said, Ricketts, I don't talk to Scott. One of his signature moves is to go talk to the owner.
The owner.
When you do that, you undermine the credibility of your GM, inserting yourself into that negotiation. I don't think that helps. I don't talk to him. Now, Peter Seidler, when he was here, didn't seem afraid to occasionally maybe talk to an agent or two.
Sure.
And you can say, is that a good thing or a bad thing? They would end up landing more Scott Boras clients than most. Maybe perhaps because Peter Seidler was willing to get involved. Did it undermine A.J. Preller? Did it cause them to have to pay more for certain clients? It's possible.
Possibly.
It's
yeah,
definitely.
I can think of one.
It's definitely a factor. So you can kind of see that one both ways from Tom Ricketts.
All right. So continuing in the owner sticking his foot in his mouth. I mean, if you're a Diamondbacks fan, you're feeling pretty damn good about what happened last season. What a fun run it was for them, making it all the way to the World Series, only to lose to the Texas Rangers. Well, yesterday their owner Ken Kendrick spoke, and he's very frustrated because he's not getting the public funding, Ben, that he wants to upgrade Chase Field. Listen to his comments.
One sec.
Paulie's going to get it loaded. There we go. We're ready. We're firing on one cylinder.
Well, we aren't having those conversations. There are opportunities available. There are other cities that would covet having Major League Baseball. I mean, it's not like I'm, speaking out of school to say that. And those names they're prominent cities that would love to have a Major League team. We're not in dialogue with those communities, but we are aware of what is going on. There is likely to be in time an expansion of our sport to a couple of additional cities. Cities are letting MLB know their interest. Their interest in getting a team is specific. They would be happy with a brand new franchise, but they would certainly be very happy, with frankly a successful existing franchise. It's not where we are spending time or energy. We may run out of time in Phoenix.
What?
We hope that won't happen. We're hard at it. We're continuing to have meetings. We've ramped up the dialogue in every way that we know how, and we'll continue to do that.
So we are having meetings. about getting some public funding to upgrade Chase Field, which is a dump, by the way. We're going to get some public funding for that. We're not putting a lot of energy into it, but we actually are. We're hard at work on it. The thing is, there are going to be a couple of other cities that would they'll love a new team, but they would take the Arizona Diamondbacks in a New York minute. It's baffling to me to get up in front of your fan base and dangle the possibility that we may even be thinking about sitting down in a meeting to talk to somebody in Portland about moving to Portland or Nashville or anywhere else after what you guys have built so far and with a bright future. And you've spent money. You've spent money in the offseason. You've improved your team. It just feels like you go in, let the air out of the balloon a little bit, your third day of spring training, right?
That was Ken Kendrick thinking he was clever. How can I threaten that if things don't go my way, we may need to consider moving without actually threatening that we're going to move?
When you say, though, to your fan base, hey, we may now we've done that to our fan base before. Listen, our contract may run out. That was the truth. What they're doing in Arizona, though, he's a billionaire that wants other people to pay for his renovations and his upgrades. I mean, and that's how really the rich stay rich.
But here's the thing: when you sort of threaten that you may in the future have to move if you don't get what you want, that's actually a threat now.
Yeah, that's a straight up
just
threat.
because you said
We've seen it.
We're not actively talking to any other cities.
But we know they exist.
Once you point it out, you've already made the threat now.
Yeah, you don't need to bring that up.
You're making everybody aware that you're willing to pull the trigger on going on a move to another city if you don't get what you want. You made that threat.
Better to just say, yeah, we're still pounding out those meetings right now. Our goal is to stay in Arizona, obviously. I mean, we love it here. We saw the support last year for the World Series run. We got Mike Hazen's done a great job in the offseason. Look at these guys we brought in. No, come on, guys. We're
if
working
it sounds
hard
familiar to San Diego fans, yes. The Chargers were always saying, yeah, we're going to continue working here in San Diego, but every time there was a story out of Carson or L.A. about stadiums, they were always linked to it. It was always that threat that was dangling over everybody's head.
Awful,
and
man.
It's a real threat,
It
and
really
it's
is.
there. I mean, you can't take it lightly and just say, well, where's he going to go?
Because they will. They will up and move, even if they don't have a place to play.
And they've already indicated that now they will go if they don't get what they want.
And Ken Kendrick now knows, hey, the commissioner will unilaterally just approve this, even if we don't have a home at this point, based on how it's gone in Oakland so far.
Easy name to remember.
Ken Kendrick.
Ken Kendrick.
I don't trust those guys. Like Ben Benning, Steve Stevens, and Paul Paulson. Your parents are unoriginal, I think.
Now, sometimes a guy it's their nickname. Hey, Kendrick. Call him Kenny Kendrick. But his actual name is like Stewart or something, and they just don't refer to him by that.
Kenneth Kendrick, Steven Stevens, Ben Bennings, and Paul Paulson. That's how we do it. All right, do this.
Final little do this. I saw this was pretty,
mega do.
This was pretty fun over the weekend from @HeathBell21. And there's some video here. In Las Vegas, in a tournament, finally bowled a 300
Come on,
game.
dude.
Awesome.
First one ever. Think I'm going to go pro now. And you see him giving it the old hip thrust on the final strike.
Who do you think you are? I am. I did.
Do you know how many strikes does it take to bowl a perfect game, Woods?
13?
12.
12. So close.
Very
You gotta
good.
get the 10 and then the extra 2.
Then the extra 2. at the
How
end.
much are you soiling yourself? At about, when do you start soiling yourself? 8?
7 or
6,
8, I think.
6, 7, 8? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the perfect
I
game
mean, if you're
through 6.
decent. I've never gotten more than 3 in a row.
I've gotten a turkey once, I think.
Yeah.
That's what they call a turkey in the biz.
True.
Good for him, man. Our own little Mookie Betts, Heath Bell.
I didn't even know he was a bowler.
I just saw that guy retired like in the last week over.
I thought he already retired.
41 years in
thought he was
professional
dead.
bowling. Pete Weber.
Pete Weber.
Honestly, if you'd played Pete Weber, dead or alive, I would have said passed away a while ago.
I saw a quote, actually. Maybe that's from the same piece, Paulie, but he said, you loved me or you hated me, but you watched. I said, God, that's as hard as it gets. Who do you think you are? I am. He's brilliant.
And that's don't and do this for a Tuesday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
We'll come back. AJ Cassavell is going to join us. Padres.com, covering the team at spring training. Get caught up on all the biggest stories from your San Diego Padres. Next with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. Do this. We just heard, or don't do this. We heard Ken Kendrick talking about potential expansion as well in Major League Baseball. And this morning, just a few minutes ago, Jeff Passan came out with a piece at ESPN.com about expansion is coming, and went through some of the possibilities that Salt Lake City, Nashville, looking like two of the definite leaders in the clubhouse for the 31st and 32nd Major League Baseball teams. Pointed out, though, that there hasn't been a new team in baseball since 1998 when the Diamondbacks and Rays entered the picture. And that's the longest stint now, 26 years without an expansion team since they went from 1901 to 1961. Wow. And I remember, so as a kid, 1993, when the Rockies and Marlins joined, that was like revolutionary for me.
It's crazy.
Because the Mariners and Blue Jays were 1977, but we were too young to remember that. So essentially, baseball as we grew up was the same 26 teams the entire time. And then all of a sudden, these two new teams, the Rockies and the Marlins, just existed out of nowhere.
Both popped on the scene with these weird color schemes and weird uniforms. And you're like, what in the world? But they had some good-ass players on the team, and it was exciting.
And then 5 years later, you had two more teams. It wasn't quite as novel at that point, but it's been a long time, 26 years since there's been a new team.
I'll say this: it will be hard to adjust. It's a hard adjustment.
And the big thing will be when it happens, there'll be a major realignment. With 32 teams, you may see more like football's 4-team divisions.
San Diego Padres in the Central. How about that?
Probably not.
Let's make that happen.
Probably not. All right, let's check traffic when we come back. AJ Cassavell is standing by from Padres.com. Spring training in Peoria. Don't go anywhere. Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Rain on the way. In fact, it's already hitting a good part of the North County. Got a spin out now, eastbound side of the 52 before Mass Boulevard. Car facing the wrong way over the right shoulder. Also, a collision blocking lanes eastbound 8 before College. Several vehicles involved in that. And Hamishaw Road right at the southbound 125 hit and run accident. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Of course, next week at this time, we'll be sitting out on the back patio at the Peoria Sports Complex. We might have this conversation in person, but right now, joining us from Padres.com, Padres beat writer AJ Cassavell is with us here on 97.3 The Fan. AJ, what are we missing out there this morning?
Not a whole lot this morning so far, but we're 2 days away from games, so that's always exciting. You're missing photo day, actually, so lots of people dressed in their full uniform today as opposed to the spring training thread.
Well, AJ, I really love the piece that you dropped over the weekend, the ripple effects, 5 ripple effects of Bogaerts' position switch. And we've talked about it a little bit this morning. And, I didn't want to come in and throw cold water on everything immediately. I feel like I kind of might have early in the show. But is this look, I can love this move, and I can appreciate and respect Xander Bogaerts. But also, do you get the sense that Xander's just kind of like not the odd man out. He makes a ton of money, got a big deal. They paid him like a shortstop, but it's like, man, you feel like it's like every year we're going to be doing this with Xander Bogaerts. Do you feel like this is a position change that's going to stick for him?
Well, it depends on how he fares with the position change itself. I tend to think he'll be pretty good at second base, just based on kind of his footwork at shortstop's good. His hands are quick. I think he'll probably fare pretty well at second. And obviously you have Jake Cronenworth who can play Gold Glove finalist caliber second base, and so the questions are going to persist if Bogaerts isn't that great at second. Should he move to first base? Should he move to left field? Like other areas of need. And you're right, like the fit with Bogaerts is an interesting one because it's not like what the Padres needed at the time because they had a shortstop, they had a second baseman, they had a third baseman who they ended up extending before Bogaerts could have made the move there. So odd man out is probably the wrong way to say it because he is an integral part of this lineup.
100%.
And he's probably going to hit second or fourth, but it's going to be interesting to see how this transition goes because switching positions to the other side of the diamond, which he's never done in his life, is going to come with some challenges. I would say probably not fair to grade it based on how he does early, certainly in spring training, maybe early in the season, but toward the end of the season or towards the middle of the season, if he's playing a solid second base, maybe he entrenches himself there. Guys tend to have longer shelf lives than they do at shortstop at second base. So that could become a long-term home for him.
AJ, if this was the right move for the Padres now, and I think it probably is, wouldn't it have been the right move last year as well? And did the Padres simply not do it because they promised Xander that they wouldn't, that he could play shortstop for at least one season.
Yeah, it probably would have been the right move last year. I think I don't know that the Padres envisioned Kim having the humongous breakout season that he had, and so if Kim's more of a versatile kind of the fourth guy in that infield that can move around and play all the spots and fill in for guys when they need that day off, maybe that's what they were planning for, and then he kind of exceeded everyone's expectations by going out and for at least the first 5 months before he struggled in September, being kind of all-star caliber, got some MVP votes, like that level of player, then absolutely he's the shortstop. I think Xander Bogaerts was pretty solid defensively at shortstop last year, at least kind of compared to what he was earlier in his career with the Red Sox. He was a pretty solid shortstop. And so when he signs and he wants to play shortstop and he says, I can be a pretty good defensive shortstop, and the Padres say, all right, you can be our shortstop for 2023, I don't know that that doesn't make sense. I think that all kind of computes for me. And then the question is, once it becomes clear in June that probably Ha-Seong Kim is a better defensive shortstop than Xander Bogaerts, well, at that point, you're not going to ask him to transition in the middle of the season. That's too tough. And so here we are at spring training, where you can kind of get those reps in and you can learn. You can learn without learning on the fly. I think that's maybe the way it shook out.
And we're talking to AJ Cassavell here from MLB.com on Ben and Woods, and it's pretty obvious when Mike Schilt came out and spoke to you guys the other day when he said, "Look, you know, we talked about this when we were in Aruba, and I broached the subject with him. He was receptive to it. Now, there's some other things we can't, let out of the building." It was, Xander, we may end up trading Ha-Seong Kim. We may end up keeping him. And Mike Schilt told us, hey, speculate freely. I know you're going to. Those were the conversations I'm assuming that they were having, that, Xander, you may be at short, you may be at second, depending on what happens with Kimmy.
Yeah, and I don't know how much of that they told Xander explicitly, but that has to be what's going on there, because for it to have lingered as long as it did, and for kind of Xander to say, hey, if I like, he was, in our conversation with him, he was pretty, I think for a guy who loves playing shortstop as much as he does, who wears number 2 for Derek Jeter, who never moved off shortstop even at the end of his career when he probably should have, like, I can't, it was not easy for Xander Bogaerts to move off shortstop, and I think he's earned some kind of respect in the clubhouse for being willing to do so. The one thing that he did kind of say he wished was done a little differently was that he got reps to do so earlier in the offseason, and the Padres said, hey, that's a completely fair right, but we didn't necessarily know where you were going to be playing. And if this move was going to be made when he got to camp, the only justification behind that would be that they didn't know whether Ha-Seong Kim was going to be there or not. And I think with this move being made and Xander Bogaerts getting work at second base now and him taking the spring to do that, now it seems at least somewhat likelier, maybe significantly likelier, that Kim is here for at least this season, and then we'll see where it goes.
AJ, competition's been kind of a watchword this spring. Competition for outfield spots, lineup spots, starting pitching spots in the rotation. But we've also heard Mike Schilt say you can't put too much on spring training results, because part of that is working on things and getting ready for the season. So how do you think the Padres are going to make some of these decisions when it comes to maybe whether or not a young prospect is ready? Have they already made some of the decisions possibly and are just looking for confirmation this spring? What's your sense there?
I don't think they've made the decisions. I think they have probably their own internal evaluations of where this would go based on what the roster is now, based on whatever trades they can make. And they kind of want the guys. I mean, there's serious opportunity for guys like Jackson Merrill, Grant Pauly, Jacob Marcy. Like, those guys, if you're looking at this roster as it stands right now, could all, in theory, be on the opening day roster. I would expect the Padres to add guys to make those spots maybe a little more scarce. But if you're drawing it out now, and if the Padres say, hey, we like these guys a lot, we like what they've done at kind of the upper levels in the minor leagues, we like the off seasons they had, that doesn't mean that they've made the decision. They still need those guys to come out and if not perform in the fall league, because those numbers, like numbers-wise, because those numbers are what they are. Different guys are working on different things. There's just a different way to evaluate kind of readiness, and the Padres have always shown that. I mean, I think we saw. I'm sure Fernando Tatis Jr.'s numbers in 2019 spring training were great, but to me, it was more than the numbers. It was just like watching the guy. I was like, oh yeah, this guy is clearly a big leaguer, and if they send him to the minor leagues, like, that's not where he belongs. I think they're going to ask those guys, and that was an obvious one. There's tougher evaluations to be made with prospects who are maybe at a lower level than what Tatis was, but those are the evaluations that'll be had. It's not necessarily, oh, this guy hit 350 in the thin air in Arizona where everyone's throwing fastballs because they're trying to get their location down or whatever. Like, that's not how they look at it. It's just more of an evaluation, a feel thing, and I think the Padres have proven they're pretty willing to promote guys when they look the part.
Yeah, no question about it. It's AJ Cassavell joining Ben and Woods this morning. I've heard the name Ethan Salas a lot. I've heard a lot of rave reviews about his work out there, his ability, at the plate, behind the dish. I've heard Iriarte's name mentioned a bunch from guys like Bob Scanlon, went out and watched him throw, exploding fastball, all this. Anybody on your radar that maybe we haven't heard a lot about yet that you've seen that's impressed you a little bit so far, AJ?
You hit on some of the big ones. Iriarte's I've heard pretty good things about him, and kind of if he can kind of locate that slider and where it needs to be, like, that's a big league caliber arm. These are not like young off the radar guys. These
Sure.
are two guys who I think would make the roster. But Brito and Vasquez, I keep hearing good things from people behind the scenes that probably don't necessarily have to pump them up. Like, everyone in the organization wants to pump those guys up because they traded Juan Soto, and you want the package to look good. But I've heard really good things about the stuff those two guys have and their ability to get outs, and kind of what I think they'll be able to do under the tutelage of Ruben Niebla. And from the live sessions that I've watched, they've both looked pretty nasty. So I would be kind of excited about what they could potentially bring to the back of that rotation. That's not me saying I would be excited enough that the Padres shouldn't go out and add another starter, because they still should, but that there's at least a level of comfort and security that you've got guys with the stuff that I think the Padres feel are capable of making things happen.
And are you a little surprised that, guys like, Dom Smith, he's $1 million, whatever, David Peralta, guys like that coming off the board? I mean, if the season started today, we were talking about who's going to designate, be the designated hitter. It's probably Matt Patton at this point. Surprised that there haven't been more flyers taken on some guys?
I still think there will be flyers. Yes, I'm surprised, but there's still some guys on the board that I would assume the Padres will just look into adding. Now, it's a fine line to walk, because you have these prospects that you're excited about. You have these guys that you want to give opportunity to, and so you don't want to take that opportunity away by adding a guy who's really only a fringe piece, who you're paying money to, who might end up having his job supplanted. So you want to make sure you're getting a guy who's at least there for the long haul of the season. That said, I would assume that the Padres need to add a DH and just kind of solidify some things on their bench. And there's guys available. I think that's maybe the spot in a market that's been kind of evolving kind of weirdly. There are some like kind of DH outfield bats that I think the Padres could. I mean, they're coming up the board a little bit, like you said, but they're still out there and they're still available.
Talking to AJ Cassavell. Did you bring a bird with you?
Yeah, he's bird watching this morning.
To spring training?
I'm trying to walk away from these birds. Yeah, they're following me.
So let's talk bullpen a little bit, AJ. And Mike Schilt discussed it a little bit this week. And everyone wants to know, hey, is it going to be Suarez in the ninth? Will it be one of the new guys? Padres have a lot of eighth-inning arms, it feels like. I mean, last year you just didn't have any idea who was the eighth-inning guy. So, I mean, Brent Honeywell got some eighth-inning, which is not a good thing, last year. Now they have almost an overabundance of that.
Now, we say that every year, though.
Well, I think it's different. Tell me what you think, AJ, because I think there's a different feel this year to the Padres bullpen than there was last year.
Yeah, it's pretty kind of finely balanced in terms of what the guys can do, the pitches they throw, the handedness. You look at maybe who their 6 or 7 big arms are. I think it's 4 righties, 3 lefties, and different arm slots, different pitches that they throw. Suarez, I think, and I think Mike Schilt hinted at this maybe yesterday, maybe 2 days ago, that he is the ninth inning guy, the most likely guy there, but it's not set in stone. And I think what that means is it's not set in stone even probably at the end of spring training. Like if the big matchups and there's 3 right-handed hitters coming up in the 8th, and you've got maybe a lefty or 2 in the 9th, well, you can put Suarez in the 8th and Yuki Matsui in the 9th. And one of the good things about the way the Padres have designed this bullpen is, even if, like you said, I think they're 8th inning caliber arms, like guys with stuff that are kind of set up pieces in a vacuum, but they're guys that have pitched the 9th inning before, whether it be in Japan, Korea, wherever. Robert Suarez is that guy, but if you're flipping guys around, it's not like they don't have that experience of locking down those final 3 outs.
Love it, man. See you next week.
AJ, we'll see you out there.
Looking forward to it.
All
See you
right,
guys.
And enjoy the games as they get started here on Thursday. AJ Cassavell, MLB.com Padres beat writer. And we heard, of course, that Joe Musgrove will get the start on Thursday in the first game against the LA Dodgers in the Cactus League, with Michael King also pitching in that game. Piggybacking.
Love the piggyback.
Get 2 starters. And Mike Schultz said, don't. I know you'll read a lot into it. Don't read too much into
That's what
it.
we're going to be doing all season, Mike. Here we go.
Does that mean
the Musgrove King combo?
Does that mean that Joe Musgrove will be the opening day starter in Korea?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, does you Darvish make some sense, though, obviously,
Kinda does.
in Asia, getting him on the mound first, maybe you first in Asia, and then Joe first in San Diego the next week, although you kind of want to keep them in the same order if you're going to pitch them, get them in the same rest.
They could both pitch those 2 games and then
be ready
pitch
for the home opener.
The home
right,
opener, yeah.
right. I mean, does it matter which order they go?
No.
I'd be very shocked if it wasn't Darvish and Musgrove in some order of those 2.
Correct.
Although if Michael King looked great, you don't want to completely take him out of the equation. Or maybe, I mean, knowing that you're not going to use another starter for more than a week, maybe you pitch 2 starters in both games.
Piggyback.
You do Musgrove and King, like you're piggybacking in one game, and maybe, Darvish and Avila in another game, or Darvish and Vasquez in another game.
I'm going to throw a curveball at you and go position players starting both games on the mound against the Dodgers in Korea. That's what I'm going to do. Jake Cronenworth.
Little
They'll
early
never
again.
see it coming.
Yeah, they'll never see that.
Little early for the speculation.
Just watch Dave Roberts
they said
soil himself.
no Ohtani, no Yamamoto, though, for the Padres game on Thursday in Peoria.
Scared.
They are keeping them away from the Padres' dangerous team. All right, we'll come back, reset everything. Hour number 3 next here on The Fan.
Halfway home on a Tuesday, Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. Thanks so much for being here with us. Been a great morning so far. Good to talk baseball again with my boys and with all you guys out there. And thanks to AJ Cassavell for joining us. We got swinging Sammy Levitt coming up at 9. The guy has just been knocking it out of the park every single day out at Peoria. Very, very, he's an inspiring cat, man. He really is. He inspires me to work harder. It doesn't always work, but he inspires me to think about at least working harder for sure. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl, the executive producer. Ben Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor, joins us as well. And we kicked the show off this morning talking about, our various illnesses and whatnot. And we did make it out to the baseball field for our first Tier 1 game. We did win that game 16-9. It was a lot of fun. And after, when I got home and was logging in all the stats and looking at the pictures, we had Brian Sims is a photographer. He came out and took some really cool shots. He was sending them our way. And I noticed the Peter Seidler heart on our jersey. And I thought, that's it. That's what I want to do. I want to play this season for something more than just going out and playing baseball with my buddies. So I decided every game we win, I'm going to throw $100 in to the Peter Seidler Foundation. And Ben let me know this morning it will be matched up to 4 times, right? So for every 100 I throw in, that's $500 that the foundation will get, which is great. Now, when we did the tryout for the Tier 1 team, man, 50 guys show up, 50, 60 guys. It was one of the more special days I've ever had in radio. It was incredible to see the power of radio, like in action on a cold and drizzly morning, just like this. Guys coming out wanting to make the team. Obviously, I can't have a team full of 50. I probably shouldn't have a team full of 20, but we got 21 guys on our squad now, and it was so much fun. But some of the guys that didn't make the team have started their own team in a different league down in the SDABL, which is a down south league. And the name of their team is Team Scales. They call themselves informally the Tier 2, the Tier 2s. They got a sponsor. And they have agreed this morning to also donate to the fund for each win as well. So I think that's fantastic. That's awesome. And let's see how much we can raise for the Peter Seidler Foundation this year. Just very, very cool and happy to be a part of that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, very
It sounds
cool.
like everybody wants to be there.
They do, man. And I had a lot of people like, bro, why didn't you invite me? I said, man, we talked about this tryout for months and months and months, and it was a pipe dream. And to see it actually come out and to see those jerseys, how cool they came out, and everybody out there just raring to go and having a good time, being with each other, that brotherhood on the baseball field. It was just so much fun. It was so much fun. I'm so happy to be back. And you did ask me, does that mean you're pretty much done with golf now? And, I mean, as of now, yes, it's baseball season. So I'm full bore. Like, probably
You're not one of these baseball players who likes to, tee it up on the off days in between the games.
No, I mean,
Greg Maddux style.
No, I really just want to throw all of my energies and efforts into this team and making it the best that it can be.
And because, you're getting paid tens of millions of dollars
right.
to play and manage for this team. Obviously, you'd think it would be your top priority.
One would think, yes. But my family does come first above everything. And, of course,
right.
we are alluding to the comments over the weekend from one Anthony Rendon.
Yikes.
And, okay, so let's break this thing down a little bit. So Anthony Rendon talked to Sam Blum, at spring training. And I'll tell you, the audio, the printed word made it look, I'd say 10 times worse than the actual audio.
It often does.
It often does. When you see Anthony Rendon making these comments about how baseball is really not his top priority, and it really hasn't been for a while, I think to the common person, which is 99.99% of us out there, we look at that and go, oh, yeah, man, you have it super tough. $35 a year. I think they said he makes $180,000 in at-bat, somewhere like that, for an at-bat. To go up there and watch 3 strikes, Ben, he made $180. Boom. That's Ben Higgins' money right there for one at-bat. Bam. Imagine that. So do we have the audio, Paulie? Mm-hmm. Let's play the audio that they got from Rendon at spring training.
Is it still a top priority for you, though?
That's never been a top priority for me. This is a job. So I do this to make a living. My faith, my family come first before this job. So if those things come before it, I'm leaving.
Is it a priority?
Oh, it's a priority for sure. This is my job. I'm here, aren't I?
Do you want to be here?
I don't want to talk to you guys at 7 in the morning or whatever time it is.
I appreciate that.
Do you want to like be here playing baseball?
I have answered your question, so why do you keep picking at it?
He's smiling.
Yeah, you technically answered it.
Thank you.
All right, so Rendon has played in the last 4 seasons a total of 200 baseball games. Now, you had a shortened season in there, a 60-game season, but you played 200 games. He signed a huge deal with the Anaheim Angels of Los Angeles. And, Benny, I don't know. We do this a lot in sports media where we say, man, I'm tired of these canned answers. I want the real truth. I don't think we do. I don't think we want the real truth, to be honest with you, because that, I feel, is the real truth from Anthony Rendon.
Both things can be true, though. You
can.
You can want the honest truth, the honest answers, and
you
then
don't have
not
to like
every single time.
You don't have to like it. I got an interesting discussion yesterday with my buddy Bradley on Twitter about it. And Bradley was taking a hardline stance of, look, that's great. That's an absolutely refreshing perspective. And people, probably everybody out there should have that perspective of, no, this is a job. This is what I do to make money. But my overarching point was, I'm fine hearing that from a guy that actually goes out and plays in the games in which he's paid to play. I'm fine hearing that. You go out, you give your best effort every single time you're on the field. I'm 100% on board with you saying, bro, this is a gig. It's just a gig for me. You know, you want passion to drip from these guys. It's not always the case. They may not love the game. They were just blessed to be able to play the game. Now, there are guys that would play the game for free. There were guys that would pay to play the game. That doesn't have to be every single baseball player. Does that make sense?
It makes sense to me. I mean, is this a story at all? If Anthony Rendon is putting up all-star numbers.
It's not a story. I really don't think it is.
It's not a story at all.
I don't think it is.
It's only a story because he has been so unproductive for such a high price tag for the Los Angeles Angels. It's been a terrible signing for the Angels, and I'm sure Anthony Rendon gets tired of hearing about what a disappointment he's been since he joined the Angels. But he is. He's been an incredible disappointment for Angels fans, for the Angels organization. It was an unforced error, though. The way he brought it up when he said, is this a priority? All he had to do was say, absolutely. Yeah. It's always a priority of mine to get back on the field, to be contributing, helping my teammates out, being the best version I can. No one's then going to say, oh, is your family not a priority? I guess your family's not that important to you, right?
Why do you hate your family,
No one's going to say that if you say, yes, baseball is a priority to me.
Oh, you must be a real crap
Baseball
dad.
is a top priority to
me.
Boy.
Oh, boy.
God, I would love to know what Artie Moreno thought after those comments. We just played Anthony Rendon audio like 3 weeks ago of him saying, yeah, the season needs to be shorter. Oh, really? You think that? Who averages like 40 games a year.
Yeah.
You want the season shorter. Okay.
It's an unforced
I wouldn't be
error
happy if I was writing that paycheck.
by Rendon, who has to understand that when you get paid a ton of money and your fan base is disappointed, they're going to want at least a little lip service. It's all you have to offer right now.
I wash me, baby. Wash me.
You have no production. You have no health. You don't really even have that much promise right now to offer to fans. You know what you can offer? A little bit of lip service about being a good teammate and giving your best effort and this being a priority and important to you. All fans want to know is it's important to the players like it's important to them. Because you know what? It is important to us as fans. We want the team to do well. We put a lot of thought and time and our energy into cheering for you. We'd like to think that the people who are actually, getting paid incredible amounts of money, at least put the amount of, desires and their hopes into it as we do as fans. It doesn't mean that we think you should neglect your children and that your faith is not important to you as well. And even if that
Why do you hate God so
even
much,
if that
Anthony?
is a bigger priority, in the big scheme of things, I totally understand that. But make it feel like you care as much as we do as fans, at the very least.
I mean, look, and listen, and it was a nice discussion with my pal Bradley, who I like. But there's another interview where he literally says, it's a podcast going around, a quote. He says, I wouldn't wish this life on anyone. Really? That to me is a little bit, not a little bit, it's a lot misguided. a lot misguided. And there's another interview in which he refers to, yeah, man, this game just turns you into this and that. And we're out there, we're traveling around, we're staying at the Ritz-Carlton, the Four Seasons. And, then we end up in a Marriott. And it's like, what am I doing here in a Marriott? And he's like, turns you into this kind of person you don't want to be, which I'm sympathetic to, certainly. That being said, to say I wouldn't wish this life on anybody, bro, I mean, $35 million a year to barely go to work is a pretty good gig if you can get it. I mean, I would like to. I like this job, and I'll tell you, I will say this. This is the God's honest truth. 7-8 years ago, this was my identity. That's all I cared about. Now, I've seen a lot of cautionary tales along the way in this business to make me realize this better not be your identity. You better have something else. Now, luckily for me, I've got a family that always will come first. This used to be. This microphone in front of me was it. I felt like that's all I had and that's all I was. I don't feel that way anymore. Doesn't mean I'm a worse broadcaster.
When Rendon says, I'm here, aren't I? In response to, is this really a priority for you? I think to me, we've all worked with people who show up at work, because they have to.
Sure.
They need a paycheck.
Yep.
That doesn't mean it's that important to them, though. They're not giving their best effort. They're not there. We've seen that, right? Everybody?
Sure.
So when someone says, I'm here, aren't I, is not a great selling point that's telling me that you really do care about your job.
And the other thing, too.
You're here because, you got a $245 million deal and you want to actually, get paid the money that they're owing you. If you don't show up, they're not going to pay you.
Though they will, though, in baseball. You still get paid. He doesn't have to go to one day of work, and he's still going to make $35 million. He doesn't have,
if he
does not take one
if he just refused to show up, they could not pay him.
But you could come in, and so the other thing that it led to was this. Okay, so if playing the games isn't an actual top priority for you, how important then is your rehab and your desire to get back on the field? I think that's fair to question.
He was questioned about that last year when he was medically cleared to play.
He said,
no,
I'm letting
ducking interviews, wouldn't talk to the media.
Now, again, though, in his defense, a little bit, allegedly, they said he had a shin bruise. Well, he had a fracture in his shin, and I guess he tried to play through it, didn't work. It's murky. It's murky in a lot of cases. The Angels are a murky organization. We know that as well. They haven't handled it the right way, but they're the ones that stroked the guy that check. In my opinion, if I'm an Angels fan, look, if our third baseman came out and said that, that's all we would have talked about today. 4 hours, hair on fire. What is wrong with Manny Machado or whoever said something like that? But I do think that is a fairly decent perspective that I do have a life outside of here. I do have other priorities. That's okay with me. As long as you show up to work and do your job. He's not doing his job. Right. That's where the issue falls.
Really doesn't work in Rendon's favor is the other very big name player on the Angels, Mike Trout.
This weekend.
We're in the studio right now. We have MLB Network on, and they were just showing some B-roll from Angels spring training camp. And the quote across the screen said, Mike Trout, quote, I'm loyal. I want to win a championship here. Like, that's a guy that you will have to drag his dead body off of the baseball field. You know what I mean? Like, that's all he wants to do is win for that team. I don't really know why. It's a crime against the sport what the Angels have done to Mike Trout's career.
Yeah.
But the guy, there's no question that he wants to be out there every single day giving it his all.
And how do we feel about that, by the way? How do we feel about, multi-MVP winner Mike Trout, who signed a long-term extension with the Angels, who has said in camp, I'm in Artie Moreno's office asking him to sign other players. I want to win a championship here. I'm loyal to Anaheim. I want to be here. Is that, I want to see Mike Trout in the playoffs. As a baseball fan first, yes. I want to see Mike Trout win a World Series ring. How do we feel about that? Do we love that about Mike Trout, that he's willing to stay and slog it out with the Angels, even though they're not going anywhere?
I think we acknowledge that Mike Trout is simply better at handling the situation than Anthony Rendon.
That's fair.
Mike Trout wants to win a championship in Anaheim until the day that he is actually traded and he is somewhere else. And then he will try to win a championship for the next team that he's on, because that's your job. That's part of your job, It's not simply producing on the field, but part of your job is you are supposed to represent your city. You're supposed to try as hard as you can to win a championship, no matter what they put around you. It's always your job to try to win a championship with the team.
Sure.
Even if you're on the Oakland A's.
Not just show up.
Even if you're on the Oakland A's and you're the 26th player on their roster and you know you've got no chance at all this year, at all. It's still your job to go out and do what you can to try to win a championship for your city and your team, even if no one cares about you. That's part of the job of being a Major League Baseball player. You know, Mike Trout gets it. Anthony Rendon, I don't know if he quite gets it completely.
Yeah. I mean, listen. Yeah,
the optics just aren't great. Winning a ring, signing the mega deal, and then really not doing anything for 5 years now.
And in the media, you know, we do want those honest answers, but boy, we really don't like them when we get them sometimes.
All right, looking forward to a couple of things. First of all, long term, we're going to the Craft Taco this week. I am excited about our first visit. Don't Do This is always brought to you by the Craft Taco in Sorrento Valley. The Craft Taco has some of the best quality tacos in all of San Diego. We'll find out for ourselves soon. Go to thecrafttaco.com. Take a look at their happy hour specials today. Thecrafttaco.com. I'm also excited about continuing our Tier 1 tour after our illness interruption last week. We're going to put the Baltimore Orioles in our focus when we come back, a team that a lot of people are talking about. Exciting, big moves. In fact, are they getting the kind of buzz that the San Diego Padres were getting?
Very Padres-esque.
At this time last year. We will talk about the Orioles on the Tier 1 tour when we come back after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
You like steak?
I do like steak. All right, after a brief detour, the Tier 1 tour is back on track today.
Van broke down, dude. The Ben bus, it broke down.
We went to Valvoline, instant oil change. We're back and good to go, and we cruise right into camp with the Baltimore Orioles today as they come off a season with 101 wins and a first-place finish in the American League East last year. Of course, got swept out of the playoffs by the eventual World Series champion Texas Rangers in the ALDS. So a little mixed bag for the Orioles last year. Incredible regular season, incredible disappointment in the postseason, but no team maybe getting more talk and hype than the Orioles following the signature move of acquiring Corbin Burns. 1 year left on his contract from the Milwaukee Brewers to lead a young starting rotation this year as they try to build on last year's regular season success. Woods.
Yeah, buddy, and they are they're kind of the envy, right? Every year there's a team that kind of pops up and you look at it from afar and you go, man, I would like to root for that team. They've got young talent. They've got young otherworldly talent. They've got more young otherworldly talent on the way. And you look at it and you go, now, listen, as we know, it doesn't always work. Just because you win 101 games doesn't mean even if you improve your team, you're going to go out and win 105 games. It just doesn't work that way. At least it hasn't in baseball. Do you fear anything from them as far as like a minor step back?
I expect a minor step back in the regular season.
In the regular season, they've already got some injury issues. Felix Bautista is going to be on the IL all season long. So they went out and they got Craig Kimbrell, plugs that hole. Kyle Bradish is hurt, and he's going to try to pitch. He's going to try to get PRP injections instead of getting surgery, pitch through that. Maybe it works. The cards say that it won't. But you got Corbin Burns to fill that spot, and he should fit in nicely there. But, man, you look at it and go, I don't know. I get the feeling. Now, again, you bring a guy like Jackson Holliday up, Ben, who's just supposed to be the next great superstar in baseball, brilliant shortstop. Seemingly Bat already plays on this level. Dude, who knows? Maybe he helps propel them back to a 100-win season. But I expect them to take a little bit of a step back this year. I do. And, these young guys got to find their way. And a lot of them did last year. And you have to repeat it.
But a step back could be 90 wins.
It's exactly right.
Then they make a run to the World Series. You're very happy as an Orioles fan.
They're one of those teams I look at and go, why they haven't added Jordan Montgomery or somebody like that is beyond me at this point. They've got money to spend. They've got prospect capital to trade. They've used some of it in the Corbin Burns deal. But, yeah, man, it's going to be interesting to see what they do. But they are, I would say, they're a fun-ass team to watch, and they are kind of the envy of a lot of Padre fans out there.
What's so impressive about the Orioles, or not, depending on your perspective, is how homegrown they are. And their projected starting lineup is filled with almost exclusively guys that they drafted and developed themselves, including two guys who were drafted in the first round, number 1 overall in Adley Rutschman and Jackson Holliday, 2 other first-round draft picks in Jordan Westberg and Ryan Mountcastle, a third-round pick in Austin Hayes, a second-round pick in Gunnar Henderson. I mean, it is a loaded lineup filled with guys who came up through the minor leagues.
8 out of 9 in this projection that I'm seeing right now. The only guy that they picked up was they purchased Ryan O'Hearn from the Kansas City Royals in January of 23.
Now, I think they've got a pretty consistent and deep lineup, and they should win a lot of games. There's going to be some fluctuation there, though, when you are counting on such young players. Sometimes there's a little step back before you make another step forward, and I can definitely see the Orioles having some struggles, especially in a tough division where the Yankees are now reloading and going for it. You know that the Rays are going to be pretty decent.
You think the Blue Jays will figure it out at some point?
At some point. I think winning 100 games in that division was pretty surprising outlier. It took both the Yankees and the Red Sox having surprisingly bad seasons last year to even make it possible. So don't expect another 100-win season, but the playoffs will be what determines whether or not the Orioles have a good year this year. And they're certainly poised, I think, to get back there based on the roster that they have put together. Now, everyone, of course, around baseball is jealous of having a franchise catcher like Adley Rutschman and what he's
God.
done so far. A switch hitter who has burst onto the scene already in his career.
5.6 WAR or something last year. Just insane.
What shocked me, though, is and the fact that he's young and he's controllable. What surprised me, though, is that I didn't realize Adley Rutschman's 26. Luis Campusano is a full year younger than Adley Rutschman is. Think about that, San Diego Padres fans, that you've got a young catcher. He's certainly not Adley Rutschman by any stretch of the imagination. But
not yet.
You feel like, Luis Campusano, he's been around here forever. He's barely a prospect anymore. He's younger than this guy who everyone is touting as one of the young star catchers in all of baseball. So, give Campusano a chance here because they gave Adley Rutschman a chance, and it has paid off for the Baltimore Orioles. They now have a cornerstone in their lineup behind the plate, likely for years and years to come. And Campusano is actually younger than Adley Rutschman is.
Yeah, and Ethan Salas is 10 years younger, as our beloved Maggie has just pointed out in the chat.
It's only 9 years younger.
There you go.
Than Adley Rutschman.
There you go.
That's incredible. So, yeah, I think good things for the Baltimore Orioles, but
still fun, man.
Temper yourself a little. Very fun. Very fun.
Like if you love baseball,
but last year was ridiculous that they won 100 games.
It was watching Adley, watching Gunnar, watching Jackson Holiday when he comes up. I mean, they're a fun. Cedric Mullins is a fun player. Santander's fun. They're just a bunch of good.
That's a team. They come to town. You want to go,
bro.
And
they're
watch
just
that team.
good baseball players, man. Love it.
All right, we'll take
a little jealous.
We'll take a timeout. We'll head back out to Padres camp and talk. I want to talk more about the Xander Bogaerts position change. We got into it a bit in our first hour. I want to really flesh out a little bit, like best case scenario, worst case scenarios for how this is going to play out for the San Diego Padres.
Fine by me.
Going
let's take some
forward,
calls too.
We can open the phone lines. Yeah, 833-288-0973.
Missed you guys.
Talking position change for Xander Bogaerts, second baseman for the San Diego Padres. Coming up next with Bennett Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Woods, have you ever had someone out there who you felt was just stealing your bit? Like you do something and then they would do the same thing.
Me? No, never.
I just wanted to call out Tiger Woods for stealing my sick bit last week.
You didn't also soil your pants though in the studio.
A little, yeah, but he started, Friday morning, thought he could make it through, could not make it through, left in the middle of the round, very Ben-like for Tiger Woods at the Genesis Invitational. Disappointed a lot of people. There were tons of people who were out there just to see Tiger. And as he left the course, you could see the exodus of all the fans. Going,
crazy, man.
All right, we're done too. We're out of here.
Is it done? Are we done? Tiger, is he still?
Because he was sick?
I mean, was sick this time.
We done with me? Because I was sick last week.
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
Depends on who you ask.
I mean, really, yeah, that's true. I mean, kind of. The answer is kind of, yeah. No, but I mean, it was obviously he's worked hard to come back.
I will give him a chance to try to have a healthy weekend, and then we can evaluate in the future of whether or not we're done with Tiger.
It's just a lot of teasing.
Tiger can be competitive. Some of the swings he took were pretty good. Yeah,
I saw the shank. Now
that was the last swing on Thursday. Was bad.
Anytime you see the shank from a guy like Tiger Woods, you're like, yes. He's just like
it's humanizing.
It's humanizing, 100%.
It was a literal.
It was a shank. He just shanked it off to the right.
I've done it. That's not fun for anybody to watch.
18th
I've done it 1,000 times.
Nobody liked watching Michael Jordan on the Wizards.
Except when you shank one, it doesn't have that tracer.
No, there's no tracer
technology that shows it just goes
straight right. God, it was so good. He just
he laughed about it.
Yeah,
he goes, I was presented hosel forward on that one. It
was great.
But a little, I'm sure, out of competitive practice didn't help. But boy, he can still bomb it with the young guys on the drive. That's one of the big concerns with all the surgeries and everything. Is he going to be able to hit it out there where you need to be competitive? Everyone who plays with Tiger says, with private practice rounds, like the other pros who play with him, said he's good enough to win still. It's just a matter of can his body hold up over 4 rounds. Now, it wasn't necessarily his body. You're sick, and clearly they said he showed up, and they said he looked like death on Friday morning.
They took him in an ambulance, I think.
I think that was overblown. I think there was already an ambulance there,
okay.
And everyone says, "Oh, they got Tiger in the ambulance." Someone gave him some IVs. He left on his own and flew back to Florida.
It's not a good feeling. Now, when you had the flu. Was it vomiting or was it the other?
Neither.
No,
it was just the
chills,
the aches and pains and fever. I did not have
Number 2
intestinal issues.
Never fun, man. Never.
Not the stomach flu. This was the actual influenza A virus.
Yeah,
and it was miserable.
That's terrible.
But feeling better now. Good. Glad to be back. And glad to be talking a little Xander Bogaerts position change. If you want to join us, 833-288-0973. We'll get to that right after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Valvoline Instant Drive-Thru Oil Change, your 15-minute instant drive-thru oil change. Got some rain hitting a good part of the North County and more coming this way, guys, so plan accordingly. Right now we're dealing with mostly dry conditions in the greater part of San Diego. Spin out in the clearing stage, East 52, just before Mast Boulevard. Accident middle lanes, eastbound 8 before College. And crash has been moved over the right shoulder, northbound 15 before Claremont Mesa Boulevard. Valvoline Instant Oil Change is your drive-through oil change. It only takes 15 minutes, and you don't have to get out of your car. With all the rain lately, Valvoline is also offering replacement wiper blades. For directions and discounts, go to SoCalOilChange.com. SoCalOilChange.com. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So many people were trying to read between the lines of the Xander Bogaerts position change over the weekend. The only, I think, certainty that I got out of it, I mean, nothing is certain in baseball, but to me, the position change clearly means that Ha-Seong Kim is not going anywhere
this year.
At least in the short term. The thought that he was going to go play 2 games
this month, or maybe this spring.
The thought that he was going to play 2 games in Korea and then he was going to get traded. They were just capitalizing on the, the promotion and the hype of him going back to his home country.
That would feel so incredibly gross.
You're not going to ask Xander to change positions for an entire spring, only to put him right back at shortstop because you're planning to trade Ha-Seong Kim. So I think to me that tells you that the idea is the Padres expect Ha-Seong Kim to not just be their opening day shortstop, but he will be their shortstop for this season going forward. Now, if the Padres are out of it in July, like truly there's no hope. They're not making the playoffs, and Ha-Seong Kim hasn't signed a contract extension. Yes, you absolutely need to look into what you can get for him in a trade. So in that sense,
or go out and sign Rich Hill.
In that
trade for Rich Hill.
Trade for Rich Hill and Ji-Man Choi.
Where
did he go? Ji-Man Choi just signed somewhere too.
Did he sign?
I thought I saw.
Garrett Cooper's still out available, isn't he?
Koopaloop
is not has not been claimed or
it's going to be
assigned anywhere.
So it's a month from today, first game against the Dodgers,
Correct.
and the Dodgers are a right-handed heavy starting rotation. You're probably going to see Glass now. Is Buehler back 100%? Is he ready to go?
You see Yamamoto.
I would think Yamamoto's got to
Glasnow.
pitch one of the first two games. Yeah. And I'm not sure what his Glasnow's health is going forward.
It's good right now.
Kershaw obviously isn't going to be back until at least July or August.
Yeah, it's a right-handed heavy starting rotation for them, and we have a mostly right-handed lineup. But hey, listen, you play with what you got.
Do you agree though with my assessment that Ha-Seong Kim is not going anywhere now?
Yeah,
they've listened.
Sure, they've listened.
The asking price was really high. Yeah. No one came close to matching it, so they are good to go now with Ha-Seong Kim as their shortstop.
I mean, any team in baseball could lose their shortstop to an injury. Hell, they could lose their second baseman or third baseman to an injury in the next week or two, and then they pick up the phone again and call A.J. Preller.
Sure, but I think he's here now. If you don't make that move unless you're committed to Ha-Seong Kim for at least the next 4 months until the trade deadline.
Yeah,
and that's probably the extent
we'll give you
of where
a solid starting left fielder and a number 3 starter. You have to listen to something like that for Ha-Seong Kim.
Not anymore, though. You're done now. You're done listening right now. You've already moved Xander Bogaerts to second base, so you're done listening on Ha-Seong Kim.
I mean, you could
ever done listening.
You could put Jackson Merrill there if you did trade Ha-Seong Kim.
I guess impossible. I guess you could.
You could acquire a first baseman and slide Cronenworth back to second. I mean, there's a lot of things. It's the good and the bad of having 14 shortstops is that you do have flexibility.
Yeah, we are flexible, except in some positions that we still have a need on. And I think I think you're done, though. I think you're done listening to Ha-Seong Kim for now until July, until the trade deadline.
You're done going out and asking other teams.
Yeah.
You always listen if someone calls and asks you about someone.
Absolutely.
AJ Cassavell joined us and said he thinks that this could be a very successful position change for Xander Bogaerts.
I saw the same thing from Trevor Plouffe, who is on Chris Rose's show. Trevor Plouffe said the same thing, and he kind of laughed off because when Xander came out and spoke, he's like, yeah, you know what, we talked about it. I didn't know it was set in stone. A little bit more heads up would have been great. And Mike Schilt came out and said, no, it's fair. That's fair to say. And Trevor was like, you don't take a lot of ground balls in the offseason even at your primary position. You a little bit. He said it's probably more of a mental thing. Get your head ready to go out and play second base and that. And yeah, that was a little weird to me. I think the Padres handled it well. I think that probably could have blown up in their face a little bit, and I don't think it did. Did you not tell him until this morning that this was actually going to happen? You didn't drop a text or something? Hey, by the way, it's 2-bag. Right? Like I let my pitchers know a week before they
start. We have we have audio from Xander Bogaerts about how he was approached when Mike Schilt did his tour of all the players and kind of talked to him. So this is what Xander Bogaerts said about the Padres' process of talking to him about
the process,
the position change. Yeah.
And it doesn't want to play.
We're close on firing that one.
We're close.
He said it basically took him about 15 seconds
Give me 1 second
to make that decision that, yeah, all right, I will do it. I will make the change to second base.
Felt a little, am I crazy to say it was a little bit exasperating? Like, yeah, I'm doing it. Sure. Mm-hmm. It's like when Adam asked me to do like another round table, I'm like, yeah.
I'd love to.
I don't jump up and down about a round table.
But I don't want to talk about it anymore, so I'm just going to do it.
So I'll just do it.
And I'm gonna do it, give it my best, and I'm just going to do it. And now we don't have to talk about it anymore.
Yeah, don't ask me anymore.
I think there is some of that with Xander Bogaerts. I'm going to keep if I'm at shortstop, I'm going to keep facing these questions about moving to different positions. Once I move to second, I can tamp those down for a while.
How much will you give me next week if I go, all right, you ever thought about moving to first? And he just lunges across the table at me and chokes me out live on YouTube. I'm not going to ask him about moving to first base next week.
Let's go out.
I'm not going to.
Yeah.
So quit asking.
That soundbite we have.
That one we have. The other one won't play?
Was Mike in Aruba the first time that someone did talk to you about it?
No.
Okay. And so what has the process been like for you in terms of how do we get to today?
Yeah, we got to today fast. I'll tell you that. Yeah, they just approached about it, and it's not like I was like, hey, take ground balls at second, be prepared for any of that. That's probably the only part that maybe could have been a little different. But I mean, I don't know how much interest they really had on like moving me off or whatnot. But
a lot.
Once they came with that option today, it's like, as I said, man, I could have really be like, you know what, I don't want to move off yet, but deep down, I really feel like, you know what, it might be time, and especially the respect I have for Kimmy defensively as a player. So if it makes us better, I mean, I'm in.
Work out there today?
That was just a little show and go. This is a little bouncing around. The double play feeds is going to be a little tough, and as I said, I think most of the tough plays will be around the double plays, you know, and the feeding and the receiving of the ball with me not being able to see the guy. Those might be the tough.
You know, the respect he said.
I think that's fair.
That he had for Ha-Seong. Yeah, of course, there's going to be some challenges, and you know, it's a completely like mirror perspective of what you are used to. So there is definitely some differences there that he's going to have to adjust to. But I don't think enough was necessarily made about the comments he said, the respect he has for Ha-Seong Kim and what he can do there, because it's not simply knowing what you want and what might be best for you. To say, I can only play shortstop, I was signed as a shortstop, this is who I am, is inherently to disrespect another guy and say, well, that means this guy can't play short.
Sure.
And I think anyone with eyes has to acknowledge that Ha-Seong Kim is one of the best defensive shortstops in baseball, best defensive players in all of baseball.
Yeah, no problem.
And to just completely refuse to consider a position change would actually be kind of disrespectful to Ha-Seong Kim to say, I know you may be great at this position, but there's no way you're getting there because I'm standing here.
Yeah, and A.J. Cassavell brought up Derek Jeter, who probably should have moved off short late in his career for Alex Rodriguez, who was clearly a better shortstop than he was. He didn't do it. And
Tony, and Jeter was always hailed as such an incredible leader.
Right.
But wouldn't a leader
say
have made that change?
Hey, man, I'm trying to win a World Series
here.
here.
A-Rod was the real leader on that team. I mean, Jeter was the selfish player.
I mean, which is crazy to think about it, but I think in these terms, you can look at that absolutely and say, yeah, dude, like there's a better shortstop option here, and it's not you. And should Jeter have slid over to second or moved over to third or whatever? The answer is probably yes.
Definitely
it's
yes.
Definitely yes. But he didn't, and they ended up getting one ring out of the deal. But it's certainly a conundrum, and I really tip my hat to him for that move. I think it's great, and it's scary, man. Moving positions is scary. Go out and play somewhere you've never played before. It's terrifying. Don't hit it here. Don't hit it here. It is. But you know he's so good. My only concern, Benny, is hopefully the offense doesn't suffer. And we've seen that happen before, but you're hitting, you're playing middle infield, you're still playing middle infield, so I'm not too worried about it. I'm excited for it.
Let's go out to the phones. We got Brad joining us. Brad, good morning. Welcome to 97.3 The Fan. How are you?
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Good, buddy. How you doing? I just asked you that.
Good.
Sorry.
Hey, I think the move for Ha-Seong to short is great. I think he's got to step to the right and step to the left better than Bogaerts. Definitely. I mean, he's going to get his uniform dirty. But being a shortstop, move to second, the spin on the ball going to second, it's a completely different spin.
Yep.
So Bogaerts going to have some shape up to do. But I think overall, it's a good team move that he did. I'm glad he did it the way he did, without a distraction.
I think so too, man. I think that's a really good point, and I think that you already have seen comments coming from guys like Manny Machado, guys like Ha-Seong Kim saying they respect, and Mike Schilt saying, I respect that guy, man. That's leadership.
I also think the throw is going to suit Xander pretty well.
Yeah.
It's not that he has a bad arm. It's not bad.
It looks like it takes a lot of effort.
But it does.
It was like David Eckstein.
Yeah,
David Eckstein.
Manny makes it look so easy from that side of the field, and Xander always...
It looked like a crow hop almost.
Felt like he had to really get a lot into it, and it's always pretty accurate, so I feel like from second base, he's going to be really sharp.
I think they're going to be good
on that throw.
I think they're going to stay strong up the middle. Now, I don't know who's playing center field for this team, but they're strong up the middle, for now until we get a center fielder. I don't know who that is still.
No, none of us do. I mean,
I had a lot of people asking about the other outfield position, Jurickson Profar. It's been radio silence since the reports that the Padres have signed him. Nothing official from the Padres yet.
Yeah, they have not tweeted anything yet about that deal, correct? Have they tweeted an official welcome back Jurickson or anything like that?
I thought it was. Was it just Jurickson who did it? It's
I don't think the team sent out any official word.
Can he not? I mean, does he have to get here before he can officially sign the deal?
Has he done a physical? Like, what do we know about Jurickson Profar? Is it visa issues?
I know that, he's working on getting the visa. Not too worried. I mean, he was playing until, last week for Curacao.
So it's his birthday today, too. Happy birthday, Jurickson. They have not tweeted a happy birthday, which is something that you can count on from them because they just did it for Johnny Brito on the 17th. So, no, I guess it's not official yet. I don't think there's anything to be concerned about necessarily, but I mean, if you signed him and it's a done deal, you'd love to have him in camp.
And Wandy Peralta is still not there yet.
Is he not there still?
Either.
Still visa?
Still working on visa issues, which is not a huge concern. I think just the fact that it's such a quick spring for the Padres and they're going to be leaving on the 13th makes you a little more worried that, missing a week here is more impactful than it might be in another spring when you still had 6 full weeks before the opener. Padres are getting on a plane 3 weeks from tomorrow, to go to Korea. So, now it's starting to get somewhat urgent to want to make sure everybody's in camp. I don't know if there's anything the Padres or the players can really do about it, though. Visas are visas, and it's paperwork, and it's up to the governments of the individual countries to get that done. And you can't really speed up that process. So they'll get there when they get there, and hopefully they can get themselves ready in that amount of time. All right, we'll come back. Final hour of Ben and Woods, including Paulie Reindl's Reindl Report, get some headlines, and another stop on the Tier 1 Tour, Toronto Blue Jays. All coming up next on The Fan. This hour of Ben Woods is brought to you by the Farmer's Dog. And let's go back out to Peoria, Arizona. Shortchanged him in my tease, but we can't ever shortchange the great Sammy Levitt. Spring training Sammy back with us here on 97.3 The Fan, checking in. It's been a few days. We are back and healthy. Sammy, how are you feeling?
Gentlemen, good to have you back. Glad you're feeling better. Beautiful morning here in Peoria. The weather has been outstanding since the moment we got here, which is, as you know, quite different from last year. So everything's good. Pitchers are warming up, a very large group of pitchers on field one right now. We've got looking at Joe Musgrove throwing a weighted ball, and or I guess that's a medicine ball. He's getting ready to throw a bullpen session here shortly. So I am walking and talking, walking around the complex and taking in the sights and sounds.
Joe and his heavy droppable weights.
You should
My goodness.
Scream out real loud, "Do the show, bitches," as loud as you can and see what they do, see the reaction. Yeah, Hurricane Ben and Woods will be arriving next week, Sammy. Will be there on Monday. Excited to get out there and talk to you guys and see you in person and talk to the fellas. And
has anybody asked about us out there?
Yeah, has anybody mentioned your old pals Ben and Woods?
Anybody asked about you? That's a fantastic question. I can't say that any of the guys have specifically asked me when are Ben Woods and Paul coming out.
Not even Manny?
How about the front office guys? No?
I have had a number of
I bet you have.
front office people and maybe a couple of coaches ask, if you guys were coming out. So there is a contingency that's waiting for you, and I'm sure there will be many players very, very happy to see you, no doubt.
Sammy, you talked about the pitchers working out, and there's always the excitement of what is new. Michael King and Randy Vasquez and Johnny Brito. Let's talk about what is old, because I've seen some videos of Matt Waldron and that knuckleball still kind of confounding hitters in live BP sessions.
That was an awesome video, by the way. The guys were like, "What the F is this?"
Was that a Sammy video?
I don't know if that was Sammy or not.
You got Pedro Avila, who's back again, and don't want to forget about these possible options as well, because they'd like to think that they can take a step forward and be part of this starting rotation for the Padres this year.
I would not forget about them at all, quite frankly, because I think they are right in the mix with that group of pitchers that could make the rotation. Here's what I can tell you based on just what I've gathered over the last week or so. I know the Padres really like these guys they got from the Yankees, in Johnny Brito, who I thought looked good yesterday in his live BP, and Randy Vasquez. I talking to some people, I know they're really high on the both of them, and obviously they have a lot of talent. That's why they're here. But I would not sleep on guys like Matt Waldron, who, it's easy to forget. He had some success down the stretch last year, and I think what's interesting with Matt, and I haven't had a chance to talk to him about it yet, it's on my to-do list, is that he's still relatively new to using that knuckleball. That's still only 2-3 years old, him using that knuckleball. So as he learns how to use it, and we know last year as he continued his time in the major leagues, he used it more. I think there's still a lot of unknown and potentially untapped potential with Matt Waldron. And look, Pedro Avila had some really good stretches and moments last year. It's easy to forget how good he was in that long relief role. And if you look at some of the numbers, some of them may not look great, but you've got to dive deeper into those outings, because some of those numbers, they were inflated because towards the very end of very long relief roles, or I think there was a start or two mixed in there as well, it didn't go as well towards the very end. But he definitely showed something, and I really think there's a lot on the table when it comes to those two spots. They really like the Yankee guys, but I think for a variety of reasons, it would not surprise me, and it's very early in spring training. We haven't played a single Cactus League game yet. If somebody like a Pedro Avila or a Matt Waldron made this starting rotation, it would not surprise me in the slightest, based on what I've heard.
Talking to Sammy spring training here on Ben and Woods this morning. And Sammy, how does Jackson Merrill look in the outfield? I've seen some swings. The swing is beautiful. Strokes the ball, everything you want. He's tall, lean, muscular. Like, he's got the look. He looks like he could be an outfielder, a center fielder, a left fielder. Looks like he could be a shortstop or a first baseman. Looks like he can play anywhere on the diamond.
Yeah.
How does he look in the outfield?
it's drills, and obviously it's still early in spring training, but to me, he's looked pretty good. I haven't seen every single ball he's caught up there off a pitching machine and them shooting into the outfield. I've seen them do the fundamental work and him chasing balls down the line, and everything looks fairly comfortable. I think it's a little hard to judge when you're just watching outfield work, but he's certainly working out there a lot, and he's putting in the time and the work to get better out there. And he is right now working exclusively out there since full squad workouts began. I did see him before full squad workouts began taking balls in the infield, but since everybody got here, he has been, to what I've seen, exclusively in the outfield. And when Mike Schultz spoke just a few minutes ago, he said that when Jackson gets into Cactus League games, and I would say there's a pretty good chance he'll be in there on Thursday and or Friday against the Dodgers, that he will play in the outfield. Initially, for sure, they may mix him into the infield and try to keep him fresh, and I think they do view him as somebody who could obviously play some different positions and, get into the lineup in multiple ways on a day-in, day-out basis, but he's going to work in the outfield. So Woodsy, to me, he's looked good. I mean, it's a little hard to judge off drills this time of year, but we're going to get a much better sense when these games start, and he has to start making real reads and really play out there. And obviously, we know the experience is limited, but from what I've seen so far, has looked fairly good, and obviously he's putting in a lot of work out there, which I think at this point, considering what the Padres have asked of him, it's about all you could hope for.
Can everyone do me a favor?
Sure.
When Jackson Merrill goes out to the outfield this spring and misreads a fly ball that goes over his head, keep in mind that last spring at this time, Fernando Tatis Jr. looked kind of ragged in right field.
Remember the Dan Clark tweet that was like, oh, Tatis to right field, this is an abomination.
He won the Platinum Glove. How you perform in a couple of spring training games will not tell us whether or not you're adjusting to the outfield
I'm going to overreact.
or not.
No,
so
I'm going to overreact. I'm going to.
Be measured. If he makes a great diving play, by the way,
he's ready.
Doesn't mean that he is all of a sudden going to be the greatest outfielder of all time. So just keep that in mind on Jackson Merrill to the outfield.
Don't you ever tell me how to fan again. Don't ever do it.
Sammy Spring Training is with us from Peoria. What else was topics du jour with Mike Schultz just a few minutes ago there, Sammy?
Yeah, and before I get to Mike Schultz, I'll just add on Jackson Merrill just because it's top of my mind right now. But I'll tell you what, the swing looks really good.
Yeah.
And I've been very impressed with what I've seen during batting practice. It is batting practice, so you got to keep that in mind. But when I watch him and Marcy and Paulie and Salas, they are typically in a BP group together. I will say, number one, there's a lot to like from all those guys. And number two, I just like the energy when these guys hit together. It's impressive. It's upbeat. There's encouragement. There's a sense of competition with the way they go about things, some of the different games they play during BP. I just, day by day, I continue to be very impressed with this young group, led by Jackson Merrill, obviously. And I know you guys have heard a lot about this group. I've heard a lot about this group, but seeing it with my own two eyes, you can understand it. So just one more thought on Merrill. As far as Mike Schultz today, I told you about Merrill, that he will play the outfield, at least initially, to start here. So I would not be surprised to see him in the lineup Thursday and or Friday. We know about the pitching situation for Thursday. It's going to be Joe Musgrove, Michael King. Mike Schultz said it's likely that Yuki Matsui would probably get into that game as well. And I will tell you that Matsui threw a live BP yesterday, and I thought it was really impressive. He's got some really, really good stuff. It's deceptive. He hangs that front leg for a while. I could see that being an issue for hitters, and just chatting with some people around the field, as he's throwing that live BP, I think a lot of us were really impressed, and he induced some really bad-looking swings on some of these off-speed pitches. So he's somebody to be excited about. No real update on the guys working on their visas. Wandy Peralta, Luis Patino, they're still not here, but Mike Schultz didn't have an update on that, and obviously, that's a tricky situation with trying to get that done. I'm trying to think anything else that Mike Schultz talked about. Nothing on Profar. Okay. Nothing on Profar. He wasn't asked about it, and obviously the team hasn't announced the signing yet, so I don't know how much they would say or not, which I think is part of the reason that nobody's really asking yet. But it is interesting that it was reported, and now it's been a while, and he's there's been no official announcement yet. Trying to think in my head, because I just hopped on the phone after Mike Shildt got off. I think that was about it. There was nothing major to announce, but we got a little bit more information on the pitching. Obviously, some more information on where Merrill's going to play when he starts playing in these Cactus League games, and that was about it.
The vibe seems good, Sammy. We were just talking about it off the air. The vibe seemed good last year. You felt like we really, when we sat down, we thought, man, you're looking at these guys going, this is a team that can go win a World Series. I don't know that you feel the exact same way. You've lost some pretty key pieces, and you have a lot of question marks, but the guys seem to at least be saying the right things this spring training. And that counts for something with me, because I thought maybe last year they really didn't say a lot of the right things. Yeah. I thought this year they really have been saying the right things. I've liked what I've seen from the skipper so far. Looking forward to sitting down with him more next week. He's got kind of a loose attitude. He's been having fun with the media, which I love, letting everybody know. I don't know who's starting. I'm going to check my Twitter later and find out, which also means he has a Twitter, so keep your eyes out for that. But no, so far, man, I think the vibe around the guys has seemed pretty good from afar.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and I'll give you one more nugget that Mike Shildt talked about today. He was asked about the DH situation, and it is an interesting situation because the Padres right now don't have a guy that you can point to and say that guy's going to be the DH every day. So Mike Shildt earlier explained that right now it's going to be matchup-based, and it's going to be about getting guys, that half day off. It seems like they're going to use that DH spot right now as a spot where they can cycle guys in and out. And with some of the more veteran sluggers you have on this team, I think that makes a lot of sense. Now, that could change if a name comes in here and joins this clubhouse, but I do think it makes a lot of sense. So we did get sort of confirmation of what you thought from Mike Shildt earlier today, and that's going to be matchup-based. And it sounds like they're going to cycle through guys in that DH spot. So that was top of mind as you asked me about Mike Shildt. Another thing he said today. But look, Woodsy, I'm with you. I think Mike Shildt, it's been a lot of fun to talk to him. You can tell, and I know we've used the term detail-oriented a lot. If you go and listen to some of his answers, like I haven't posted this yet, but I'm going to. Jesse Agler had a great question for him about, I can't remember exactly how Jesse framed the question, but the answer from Mike Shildt ended up being about off days. And he went on, I'm not sure how long it was. It could have been 2, 3, 4 minutes on off days and the different kinds of off days and how he thinks about off days. And it was fascinating. It was a great example of the attention to detail and how much Mike Shildt thinks about baseball stuff.
Love it.
That we probably give a second of thought to, 2 seconds of thought to, and Mike Shildt has a detailed, thoughtful answer for pretty much anything that happens on a baseball field or over the course of a baseball season. So that detail-oriented mindset, you can really, really see it. And on the vibes, look, obviously, since you guys have been on the air, we had the news come out about Xander Bogaerts. And look, I know there were a lot of opinions on what Xander said and was he happy, was he not. I personally thought he handled it like a real pro and handled it about as well as you could have asked a veteran who signed that kind of contract and signed as a shortstop could have handled it. Is he elated about it? I don't think it seemed that way, but would you expect him to be elated about it? Right? I thought he handled it about as well as you could have asked him to handle it. And you do hope from the quote-unquote vibes perspective, Woodsy, you do hope that that's an indicator of a bit of a change in the vibes, of it being a team-first attitude, things that Joe Musgrove has talked about, checking egos and the word togetherness, which Fernando Tatis Jr. used. Look, they've said all the right things. If you're looking for an action that matches those words this early in spring training, I do think the Xander Bogaerts move and then the way he reacted to it, I thought that was, if you're, looking at things positively, an example of maybe a change in the attitude of this team, of being more selfless, of being more team-oriented. So I'm with you. Look, the vibes are good. It's a different team. It's a different year. It's different expectations. But I would say if you're a vibes person and you want good vibes during spring training, to me the vibes have been pretty good around here. I do think that.
Sammy, great work as always. We'll let you go back to planning the Ben and Woods welcome reception for Sunday afternoon, early evening when we make it to Peoria.
That's right.
Yeah.
I will. I have a question for you guys. Did you talked to AJ Cassavell earlier? Did you ask him about the salad situation?
No. There's a
in
salad
Peoria?
situation.
Well, we all get the same Trader Joe's salads. AJ, myself, Jesse Agler likes those salads. So there's been a battle for salad space in the fridge. And in fact, I may or may not have run into AJ at the supermarket yesterday, and it was very much not many salads left. And I looked in AJ's cart, and he had two of my favorite salads. So there's been a lot of.
We're coming to town. There won't be any more.
No worries
there, buddy. As long as you guys aren't sucking down
Woods and Paul.
As long as you guys aren't sucking down Whataburger and Bluebell, we're in good shape, buddy. We'll see you.
A lot of lunch drama around here.
Salads.
Not really, but,
These guys.
One
salads.
concern they don't need to have. Ben and Woods are coming.
Load up on salads now
make
because
sure
they're
we have
coming.
salads.
Oh my God! Clear out your Trader Joe's. Here comes Ben and Woods.
Thanks, Sammy.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
All right, see you tomorrow.
Can you imagine? You imagine walking in and seeing those three guys in there, Sammy, AJ, and Jesse, all reaching for the same Southwestern chicken salad. Me and Paul behind there looking for the frozen pierogies and stuff. That's so good.
Just one thing I wanted to
Salads.
comment on quickly. When Sammy talked about the DH spot being essentially kind of a half rest day for a while, like get Manny off his feet, get Ha-Seong Kim off his feet for a day. It's fine. It makes a lot of sense when you don't have a traditional DH. But at the same time, who does that put into a starting lineup every single day? If Manny's not at third, then Eggy's out there. That's not a great thing.
It's 6 of 1. It's robbing Peter to pay
if
Paul.
Ha-Seong Kim is not, if he's the DH and he's not playing short, who is playing short?
Jackson Merrill, but then who's playing left?
Then who's
Jurickson
playing left?
Profar.
You're
I have
putting
no idea.
someone like an Eggy Rosario or a Cal Mitchell or someone into the starting lineup every day you do that, and I don't really think you particularly want to do that all the time. You're not taking Matt Batten out of the lineup. You're just putting him into the field
Why
as
can't
well.
we just sign a DH for him? I know Nelly Cruz didn't work out. I know Matt Carpenter didn't work out. You didn't have to give Matt Carpenter $12 million or whatever. But there's
Luke Voigt just signed a minor league deal with the Mets.
Peralta just signed a minor league deal. You know, there's guys out there. Brandon Belt can still swing it a little bit.
You need another Major League Baseball player.
You need a couple. You need a couple more.
Whether
big
it's a DH, can play a position, anything. You can't be forced to put an Eggy Rosario, a Matt Batten into the lineup every single day.
Absolutely not.
Either in the field or at DH. You're just giving up too much there.
Yeah.
You need another baseball player or two. You can't just go into the season and we keep being told that they're still looking. But
you want to sell me on Waldron and Avila and Brito? Fine, I'll wear that.
Give us another position.
Got to get another couple position players in there. You're saying 1. I think we really need to hammer 2. I think it's 2. I think the answer is 2 to 4. Let's just call it 6 and make everybody feel much better. Spend that additional $8 million or whatever.
All for the low price of $1 million each.
Correct.
All right, let's take a time out. Back to the Tier 1 tour to play a little catch-up. We'll take a look at the Toronto Blue Jays. Always, well, in Padres-like fashion. Like, why doesn't this seem a little bit better?
These guys should be better, yes,
than
every
they actually
year.
end up being. We'll get to that coming up after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
What team are we doing here?
Blue Jays.
Oh, the Blue Jays. That's right.
The Toronto Blue Jays, 89 and 73 last season, third place in the American League.
Still a decent
East.
year.
Yeah, they made the playoffs.
Yep.
Now, it was also a quick exit in the wild card round. They got swept by the Minnesota Twins and were done. So a disappointing ending for a team that certainly always looks like it is
stacked,
loaded with talent.
Every single year, you look at them and go, whoo.
Kind of the Chicago White Sox disease as well.
Yeah.
Lots of talent, not quite coming together. And you can say that about the San Diego Padres as well. But you look at the names back in the lineup, and it's going to be a lot of the same guys again this season. George Springer, Bo Bichette, Vlad Guerrero Jr. I mean, they've got a good top of the lineup. Kevin Biggio. They added Justin Turner last month as a free agent to give a little more veteran pop to that lineup. We'll see, though. It's been proven, though, that just those guys in a lineup are not quite enough to lift them to the top of the AL East standings.
Yeah, man, they've got the pitching is going to be, I think, solid for them. Jose Barrios coming back. Who are their other big top?
Gossman's their number one guy,
stud,
yeah. And then Barrios, Bassett is their number 3 right now. Kikuchi, and then there's a lot written this week about Alek Manoah and the bounce back season.
So he's dropped some lbs. Saw him throw just a little bullpen. Dropped some lbs. Looks pretty lean for him, and apparently he's on a mission. And when you hear that, you wonder why you wouldn't be on a mission every single year if you're a big league baseball player. Doesn't happen that way all the time, as Anthony Rendon has let us know. But a healthy and motivated, pissed off Alek Manoah, probably a guy you want in your top 5, I would imagine.
I think the biggest thing standing in the way of the Toronto Blue Jays is the division that they play in with the Orioles, with the Yankees, adding Juan Soto, and who knows, possibly who else might still be on the horizon here. Their GM in Toronto has kind of said that not looking to add any more pieces at this point, whether that's just lip service or, an actual strategy for the Blue Jays. They don't look like they're in play for the Boris clients at this point. So, if other teams in their division grab more resources, that could make things a little bit tougher. But you certainly expect them to be in playoff contention and battling at least for a
100%.
wild card again at the end of this season. We'll see if it plays out that way. Good defensive outfield with Kevin Kiermaier back in center field, kind of their number 9 hitter. Not going to give you a lot of offense, but you can kind of not worry about defensively how you look out
and
there.
Matt Chapman is gone. He was their third baseman last year. He's gone.
Yeah, they
right?
got
He's free
IKF.
agent.
They picked up Isaiah Kiner-Falefa to essentially be their third baseman. Again, not huge offensively. The bottom of their order offensively looks a little suspect. It's probably one of the weaknesses of the Toronto Blue Jays going into this season.
Got him right now. The over-under I see for wins, 86.5 wins. They were 89 last year. Man, it feels like a really fair number, that's what Vegas does. They give you tough numbers.
If their pitching staff stays healthy and, they have good seasons and Manoah bounces back, they could easily go over that 86.5. If Manoah struggles again and, Gossman misses like a month or two with one of his maladies, then they could go under that number. That would be one that probably just stay away from. There's too many variables in play for the Blue Jays.
Another really, really fun team to watch, though. And if they ever do turn it on fully, it's a cool story that they have, certainly with all those the sons of ex big leaguers and George Springer. I mean, they still have a ton of talent there. If they can put it together, that's a team you could absolutely see winning the East.
Still have John Schneider, I believe, is their manager. So some consistency, continuity coming from last season as well. We'll find out if that's a good thing or a bad thing for the Toronto Blue Jays. We've seen a lot of teams like the Phillies, very, very consistent.
Very.
I mean, essentially the same team as last year coming back.
That's right.
Padres have never been able to put that together. The consistency from one season to the next.
It's a bit of a roller coaster.
And
while this
year has been a quieter offseason, you can't say it's the same roster. I mean, the pitching staff is completely
markedly different
than it was last year. So, and not having Juan Soto just kind of changes the dynamic of your team again. So once again, the Padres are kind of doing something different, whereas the Blue Jays look pretty much the same as they did last year. Does that mean they take a step forward, though, or things get stagnant and get worse? That's the worry when you don't make a lot of changes in the offseason.
There you go. There's your Ben bus through Toronto.
All right, got a little
Beautiful
catch up going. Tomorrow, Tier 1 tour continues.
Boston.
With the Boston Red Sox.
Don't you ever do the accent again.
You don't want to get one of those Dunkin' donut hole skewers. What do they got? The Ben Affleck and Matt Damon skewers.
What are you talking about?
You didn't see the commercials this weekend?
Well, I saw the commercial. I didn't know they had
they in the Super Bowl commercial, they said they're going to name a drink after us.
Oh, that's right.
And it was the Dunkings Skewer.
Skewer.
And you get a coffee with
coffee
3 donut holes of skewers on
delicious.
top. I know, look really good.
Rocky, Ricky, Danny, Terry, Mikey, Davey, Timmy, Tommy, Joey, Robbie, Johnny, and Brian.
I mean, hey, it's a coffee, but you get 3 donut holes with it. Who wouldn't want that? It's a great idea. Come on. All right, we'll come back. Reindl Report. Paulie is dying. We'll see if we can get him to bed, just like us last week. Coming up next with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. I don't know about you guys. I feel like this show has flown by this morning. Maybe it's because, well,
we haven't been here.
We haven't been here for a few days and had a lot of topics to cover and get to.
Tomorrow will be a little lean, but that's all right. We're used to that.
Well, we'll see what happens between now and then. It is Ben and Woods going until 10 o'clock. Annie and Elston will take over at 10 o'clock until 2, and then Gwen and Chris at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Don't forget, coming up on Thursday, have our first Padres game of the spring, Cactus League opener against the Los Angeles Dodgers. And
what time's that bad boy start?
I believe you can hear it right here starting at noon.
Noon. Yeah.
12 o'clock San Diego time.
Okay.
Now, we're not going to have every single spring game on our airwaves, but the first one's kind of special.
Yeah. I think I could tell you. I mean, mostly weekend games.
Okay. Yeah.
But we're gonna get the first one in.
I like it
this week, and then mostly Friday, Saturday, Sunday games.
I'm ready. I'm ready to hear it, man.
Dodgers, I believe that one is not one of the streaming TV games, so
just radio,
only on Thursday for the Padres and the Dodgers with Joe Musgrove and Michael King, both scheduled to make appearances for your San Diego Padres.
Perfect.
All right, let's check traffic, and then we'll come out with a couple of headlines from Paulie and the Reindl Report.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Nice of the rain to wait till the end of the commute before it starts hitting the rest of the county, guys. But North County's been dealing with it most of the morning. Yeah, got some crashes on the coastline, northbound 54 Manchester, accident middle lanes, accident blocking lanes up ahead right before Encinitas Boulevard. Also a crash clearing on southbound 15 near Auto Park Way. Traveling on eastbound 8 Mission Gorge Road. Kind of sucks to be this person. Stalled car in middle lanes. Just continue to give yourself plenty of extra time, plenty of space between you and the car in front of you, and have those headlights on so you're more visible to other drivers. Good luck out there. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Good news.
And get things started here with
Never
our
mind.
edition,
I'll tell you in a minute.
today's edition of the Reindl Report.
Okay.
Now
Just go ahead. No, let's do it now.
So eager.
The game's on ESPN. I'm very excited.
With Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
Hi, Paul.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League
Friday's
Baseball.
game 2.
And
will be on
one
ESPN,
story that
just
you
FYI.
didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report
Hey, Paul, how you doing? Okay, how are you?
on 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a yeah? Oh, yeah.
All right.
I'm
There
saying if
we
you
go.
want
Good?
local,
Okay,
if you
right.
want local
ESPN.
broadcasters, you have to listen to 97.3
not
The
what
Fan.
you were
It's the only place to get local broadcasters for the game.
Now, just breaking news out of New York. Juan Soto has already struck out twice in his first ABs for the New York Yankees. That's a harbinger of things to come. Struck him out. Nestor Cortez just carved him up twice.
Well, I hope that live BP isn't a harbinger of things to come, because then Shohei Ohtani's going to hit 700 home runs for the Dodgers.
I think he's
this year.
taken 40 swings and he's hit 40 bombs so far, if I'm believing the
let's
reports.
slow down on the harbingers during live BP.
All right, gentlemen. We will start off with we got a couple of stories here that have been sitting around for about a week that we have not gotten to, so I'm excited to finally tackle all of this.
Clear them.
Yeah, we're going to clear the board here. We'll start with San Diego Padres. We are getting ready for spring training, and then just a few weeks away after that will be FanFest. And the Padres late last week announced the roster for the celebrity softball game, and I got to say, I'm wildly impressed by the names that the Padres were able to get out there.
This will be a fun game. I would like to play a game with Ben and I to see if we've heard of all of these.
I guarantee you haven't.
I
guarantee.
And then guess what they do, okay? So let's play.
Bro, the NBA All-Star Weekend was this past weekend, and I turned on the celebrity game on Friday night for about 2 minutes. I mean, I think the Padres hit the NBA.
Not a lot of rave reviews. I did watch some. You guys would be surprised. I watched the 3-point contest, and I watched the dunk contest with Bo.
I thought the shootout between Sabrina
that
and
was
Steph
great.
Yeah,
cool.
the
That was
Saturday
cool.
stuff was fun.
Bro,
the Sunday game was
the
terrible.
skills
Awful.
competition was the dumbest thing I have ever seen
They're trying
in
so
my
hard.
entire. The big blocks and the
bang
guys
it.
dribbling around it, and then one guy lost it off of his foot. And then the game itself was atrocious. But I loved all the old heads getting like so mad.
All right, we'll
about
get
this
to the
game.
Padres in just a second in the celebrity game, but I thought we figured out the All-Star game.
Yeah, we did. I thought
you do the Elam ending,
and
at least that makes them try in the fourth quarter,
right?
And I don't care. You can roll it through for 3 quarters and take your half-court shots. And then for the last quarter, with the Elam ending, everybody plays a little defense. They try, and you get a little excitement. But in this game, you scored 211 points. Yeah. 211, 186. No one played any defense at all. And I don't want to be that guy.
No.
It's fun seeing Damian Lillard make half-court shots.
You also don't want to see guys...
But it got pretty ridiculous.
Getting bodied in an all-star game. You know what I mean?
Like one quarter of solid play is all I'm asking for. And I thought the Elam ending got it and they stopped doing it this year, and I don't know why.
Now, again, I get old head about the dunk contest. I do, because now you got it, and the guy's like, let me bring this dude out, and he's going to be on his cell phone sending a TikTok while I dunk over him. And then they started showing back some of the old dunks, where it was like, all right, I'm going to run from the other end of the court and take off from the free throw line. I'm going to do a windmill.
I did love that Shaq was used as a prop.
Yeah, and almost lost his glasses. But Bo loved it. Bo's away. He went to the Globetrotters this weekend, and then
he's all in.
Bro, that's all he's doing is dribbling basketballs around the house now. It's
Bo's about the same size as the winner again, Mac McClung.
McClung. And so he's a G League player?
Yeah, he won it last year.
Yeah, I remember he won it last year. It's wild.
Slam dunk specialist.
Yeah, slam dunk specialist. There you go.
So the Padres.
All right, here we go.
We're going to be at FanFest. We'll do a live broadcast, Ben and Woods, from 12 to 2 somewhere on the concourse like we did last year. And then from 3:30 to 5:30, it is the San Diego Celebrity Softball game. And it's going to have a bunch of Padres alums and coaches. They're going to be the coaches for the teams.
Sure.
Some of the names were surprisingly good, man. Alex Morgan.
Okay.
No-brainer. Got to get her there.
Yes.
Drew Brees.
Football player.
Yes. Former football player.
Former
Super Bowl champ. Kelsey Plum. Local girl. One of the top WNBA players.
Former all-time leading scorer in NCAA basketball history until last week.
So Caitlin Clark.
Rey Mysterio, Kerry Walsh Jennings.
Hold on, settle down. Wrestler. Kerry Walsh Jennings. Volleyball.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, we've got to give away some volleyball tickets for Kerry Walsh Jennings' team as well.
We do. Landon Donovan.
A soccer player.
Abby Dahlkemper.
Soccer player.
Good for you.
She's on the wave.
Chris Olave.
Former football player.
Current football player.
Current football player.
Yeah.
Well, football player.
Shayna Marie.
Exotic dancer. No.
Shayna Marie.
Pop singer.
No.
That's what I meant to say.
Shayna Marie is
TikTok
somebody that if
star.
I don't go down onto that field and introduce myself, like my marriage probably depends on it. She is one of the stars of Vanderpump Rules. She was in the middle
You're going to go down and get a selfie?
all of that drama, the cheating scandal last year.
I don't know anything about it.
It's a huge name. I don't know much about her other than that, but I do know.
Can she play?
Okay.
Maybe. Could she play left field? I don't know.
Yep.
Zeth and Sailor. Don't know who they are, but it's a father-daughter social media personalities.
TikTokers, maybe?
Yep.
Dave McCary. We know Dave. That is Emma Stone's husband, writer for Saturday
Dave.
Night
It's great.
Live.
So funny.
He's going to be there with Kyle Mooney.
Yep.
Oh, I thought Kyle Mooney. Now, Kyle Mooney's not married to her. Dave McCary
Yes.
is. Okay. Kyle Mooney's playing, yes.
Yep, Kyle Mooney will be there. Dominic Cruz.
Dominic Cruz is a UFC fighter.
UFC fighter, yep.
Miles Daughtry.
Miles Daughtry.
He's a singer. Country music singer.
No, he was. No, that's Chris
Daughtry.
Miles.
I'm coming home to the place
different
where
Daughtry.
I'm- Who's this guy? Miles Doty?
Slightly Stupid.
Oh, Miles from Slightly Stupid. All right. I always just... whenever I hear his name, they just say, oh, it's Miles from Slightly Stupid.
Right.
I didn't know his last name.
Taylor Knox.
Taylor Knox.
Surfer.
Yeah.
There you go, Benny.
Rashid Shaheed.
Wide receiver.
Kyle Mooney, who said that. Brandon Moreno.
Soccer.
Nope.
No.
UFC.
Oh, okay.
Andre Reed.
Former football
Hall of
player.
Famer.
Yep.
FaZe Rugg.
Carpet and flooring wholesaler.
No.
FaZe Rugg.
He
FaZe Rugg.
started a massive
Founded Kohl's Carpets.
video gaming team and business. He is on the Forbes 30 under 30 for content creators.
FaZe and not Faze.
I'm sure.
FaZe Rugg.
45 million social media followers for him. Rob Machado.
Surfer.
And Sean Lewis.
SDSU football coach.
Allegedly. Still never heard from him, but yeah.
All right, that's it.
That's a good lineup.
That's a pretty good lineup. It'll be fun. And then you'll have, I think, Hoffy and Tony Gwynn Jr. and a bunch of the alum will be out there coaching as well. I will skip my second story for time purposes. Woods has been wanting to talk about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominees for 2024 for about a week now.
A week.
And so it's a fan vote, I believe, and you get to pick up to 7 people per day through the end of April.
I did not know it was a fan vote. I would have been
Well, there is a fan vote, so I don't know if that's
Damn it.
the
That
only...
can't be the main criteria.
No.
though.
I'm sure there's other
We
stuff.
have a Twitter poll up, and whoever wins
Is
goes
in the
into
Rock
the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
But it's got to weigh in at some point, to some extent. But some of the names are...
They're massive.
Like,
This is a massive class.
I look at this roster and I go, yes,
Give
yes.
it to me.
Lenny Kravitz.
Yes.
Mary
Well,
J. Blige.
Yes. I
Jane's
guess.
Addiction.
Yes.
A Tribe Called Quest.
Yes.
Mariah Carey.
Of course,
Yes.
Come on. If you're all the others are yes.
I know.
Sinead O'Connor.
Yes.
Cool in the Gang.
Yes.
No, wait, hold on. Sinead O'Connor.
Yes.
It's like one really good song. And she didn't even write it. Prince wrote it.
Wow. Rest in peace, by the way.
Sorry. Shout out to her family.
Jeez.
I mean, we've got to have some no's, right?
I mean,
you
I
said
don't
yes
know.
to everybody.
Is there anything more rock and roll than what she did on Saturday Night Live?
That was
ever?
cool.
Anything ever in history?
I agree.
Badass. Cool in the Gang.
Yes.
Dave Matthews Band.
Yeah.
Sade.
Yes.
Yeah.
Eric B. and Rakim.
Oh, Eric B. and Rakim is a slam dunk.
Foreigner.
Yeah. Ben.
Yeah. I mean, the whole wing, they need their own wing in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Oasis.
Yes.
Peter Frampton.
Yes.
Ozzy Osbourne.
All of them.
And Cher.
I mean, if the Baseball Hall of Fame was operated like Woods operates the Rock
Everyone
and
would
Roll
be in
Hall
it.
of Fame, Alexia Marista is in.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Since they started, I mean, obviously, like, when I think of Mariah Carey, you know what I don't think of? Rock and roll. I don't think that, but there's not really a pop music Hall of Fame.
No, that's why there's hip hop, there's country. Like, they do have a country Hall of Fame, and I'm sure they do have a hip hop Hall of
sure
Fame.
that
But
they do.
The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is just really music, right?
I think so. They just call it the Music Hall of Fame.
Right.
It's funny though. It's all taste though. One band, like for me, Foreigner is first ballot, no doubt about it. But I understand that other people they prefer Sinead O'Connor or someone else.
Foreigners definitely, 100%.
I mean, should it be all on like album sales and is that the metric that you go by?
I don't know.
The stat heads?
I don't know. I mean, somebody said Ozzy isn't in yet. I think he's in with Black Sabbath, but he's not in as a solo artist, and he absolutely should be and will be. It's hard keeping any of those. Those are all really influential people in the music.
Influential.
industry.
Then
Influential.
that's an interesting. If they help influence other people that deserve to be in
I don't
the
know
Rock and
about the
Roll Hall of Fame.
criteria. Like, can everybody get in?
I don't know. I don't know how many they
do
take.
They only take
I
a
think
certain
they take
amount?
only a certain amount.
Well, yeah, you can't have a ceremony with 17 inductees. That would take forever. There's got to be a limit to how many you put in any given year.
Yeah, dude.
Because usually they perform or someone does their songs if they're not around anymore. It'd be a long show.
It's already a very long show. But I love the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. One of the best parts of Cleveland, Ohio. If you ever get the chance to stop by and see it, it's really
It's right by
really
the
cool.
football stadium,
Yep, it's
too.
really cool.
Right next door.
Down by the flats.
All right, so Paulie, I'll let you answer the phones because we need to give away a 4-pack of tickets to Kerry Walsh Jennings, San Diego Mojo, their inaugural home game against the Grand Rapids Rise this Friday at Viejas Arena. San Diego Mojo professional women's indoor volleyball team is bringing the heat to Viejas Arena all season long. Go to SanDiegoMojoVB.com for tickets. That's SanDiegoMojoVB.com. Or be the third caller, 833-288-0973. Paulie will get your information here in the last couple of minutes of our show after doing an excellent job on the Reindl Report.
That's it.
That is pretty much it for us today. We got some bookkeeping to do and get some work done, and hopefully get Paulie feeling a little bit better. I know he was now under the weather after we kind of brought it into the studio last week, and we're feeling better.
It was so frustrating. Like, I felt fine on Friday.
Yep.
I felt fine on Saturday. Sunday night, not great. Yesterday was brutal. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
It was nice having yesterday off. People were DMing me. One guy called me a pansy for not coming to work. I said, it's a national holiday today, so we're off on the national holidays. We were sick on Friday with walking pneumonia and the boogie-woogie flu as we had. But, yeah, I mean, listen, I would love to be here every day. I would love to never miss a day. It's not going to happen, though. Okay?
Not everybody had yesterday off, but
A lot of people did.
we did.
We did.
Which was I worked at Channel 10 last night, and it's not a company holiday at that job, but it is
so
one
Channel
here.
10 hates the president.
Apparently.
And presidents.
Yes.
Okay. Makes sense.
But I guess to each their own
Sure.
when it comes to national holidays.
All right.
Let's see. Any news this morning in baseball? Still waiting on.
Liam Hendricks signed with the Boston Red Sox, 2-year deal.
Saw that one as well. We
that.
mentioned David Peralta, a minor league deal with the Chicago Cubs, who are still anticipated to be the favorites on Cody Bellinger, but again, not engaging right now. Waiting for Scott Boras to make that first move.
Could use a little Padres manna from heaven as far as maybe an addition here or there in the next couple of days. Wonder if the market will yield that, and wonder if there's the flexibility to go out. They said that there was, so I'd like to see maybe them use some of that in the next couple of days. Would be great.
Tommy Pham's
still
sitting out there
yeah.
in terms of a guy who can outfield DH. Some of the needs that the Padres have. So. Craig and Annie and Craig will keep you updated when they come up next. Gwen and Chris this afternoon. That is it for us, though. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being back after our long weekend. We always appreciate you Tier 1s out there. For executive producer Paulie Reindl and Stephen Woods, I'm Ben Higgins. Have a great rest of your Tuesday from all of us here at San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. So long, everybody.